don't have to be here, Kyle. In the table, you can stand there and sit there. And
Like, what is this?
he wants to do podcasts and have like records,
Okay.
stories.
Yeah, so it's a good way to introduce this. I can start recording now too. I forgot it. I normally like to start recording before I open it. That way you get.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
My bad. Redo. This
Throw it out.
this will be for the second one.
All right, welcome. This is Join My Pyramid Scheme podcast, and the name I just thought was clever and a fun name, so I went with it. Before it was Let's Have a Drink podcast, and the reason and tell them like, hey, have something ready to have a drink, and we'll just talk and catch up.
Oh, that's cool.
So I
Mom,
called
are
friends
you
of mine that I had talked to in like 2 or 3 years and asked them like what was going on in their lives, and I've got enough interesting friends. Yeah, it's fun.
You don't want to be part of it?
Listen.
No, we got a seat for you here, Dawn.
In my pajamas?
Yeah.
You're
That was your choice.
Well, it's better than
Yeah.
your birthday suit, Jesus.
but yeah, we want you telling stories too. But yeah, so
Yeah, you get Brandon talking.
I
Oh,
started with like
wow.
friends that were ranching, and then
They
like
found the person who can get me to talk.
But I can't have cats.
You're like the person that they bring in for the interrogation room that they fear. They're like, look, you won't play good cop, bad cop. We got the
Yeah,
person
my
there.
people are really afraid of me.
They are.
Are you a good cop then, Brandon?
Well, I
I
try to be
classes
good
with a
civilian.
little cup like that. It's like, all right, let's go, boys.
yeah, so it was in the beginning. It was like the jungle. There were no rules.
Yeah.
We'd be on for like 2-3 hours just
Dang.
drinking. There was some strong language, stuff like that. We
Politics.
got into politics.
Oh, wow.
'Cause this was around the time that like
That politics are
some
heavy.
rioting was happening and
Oh,
stuff like
oh wow!
that.
So you've been doing this for a hot minute.
Yeah,
Right, the COVID
and then
started.
we decided like we didn't,
December of 19.
me and my buddies, we didn't want to come back on our careers. We didn't, we didn't want it to be anything that we wouldn't want our kids listening to. So we rebranded and made it Join My Pyramid Scheme, and it became more wholesome at that point.
Oh.
And if you want to listen to those ones, you just ask permission.
Yeah, I can share.
The archive.
Where
I
the-
can share the link.
Started
because
in
I
the
still
wild,
have it.
wild west, and now it's evolved to this.
Yeah, there's pretty cool ones. We did one that was the Sugar Shack session, and it was
I think that was.
everyone who lived
Oh.
in that house with Mark. I got everybody, who, well, except for Colton Schaefer. I got everybody who lived in that house, and they just told stories about the parties we threw.
No, I thought
It's
that
still
was
staying
after
pretty
it was
wholesome.
pyramids.
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, but I've got like we interviewed my parents for like 2.5 hours. We
Still
interviewed
gotta
your
figure out
mom.
how to get them on there.
Yeah,
You
we- the
interviewed me
video
when I
on.
was asleep.
Oh, but
Remember
we
that?
still got plenty of good stories out of you though.
Well, that's the best time to interview you.
Why was I asleep? I just remember I
I
was.
don't
Because
know.
think
We've
that
still
he
been
wanted
trying to
do it
figure
right
out
when
if
you
you're
got-
awake.
You gotta come over closer to Kyle. I think
No,
that.
she said that. Look.
Yeah, but Kyle's not. He just is on.
Oh,
Well,
that's
because
he's the
I mostly-
interviewer.
Yeah, I mostly want to get the 4 of you in this. But so I did one that was me with my siblings and my sister-in-law Nicole, and got some stories out of them.
We had.
It took a lot
Cry.
to get Dad. It took a lot to get Dad to even do this.
Yeah, but he opened up a lot, and he
He
actually, I think that he didn't realize like really what he was doing. He was like, I don't, he's so introverted,
Uh-huh.
so he was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
If there's a video, I really don't want to do that.
And then after a while, just
He was
Yeah,
like,
he
oh, this
was
isn't bad.
telling stories.
Yeah, and he was happy. Yeah,
So did your
Everybody
mom
eventually
do it?
gets into their comfort zone, I think, and the camera shyness and whatever it
She
be.
didn't want me
Yeah.
to not.
They,
No.
I think we all have it, and it's just some of us
I
tend
just
to know how to let it fade a lot quicker. Because I get that way. It's stage fright, so it's
Yeah,
in a
just a
sense of
bull
like,
after.
hey.
You get stage fright?
Well, I think we all do is what I'm saying, like, and it's just a matter of all of us know how to like,
When to open.
yeah, and shun it away and know that okay, this is comfort zone.
Yeah, and people like if the camera does anything, the recording does anything, it encourages people to start bringing up stories and thinking about them a little more.
These pictures will make people laugh us through.
Oh yeah.
Is that your card?
This is my, that's my vaccination.
There you go.
Oh,
Passport.
That's for the
Places you've
Titanic?
been.
That's for the Titanic? Oh, wow.
So we're sipping on Lehnen
Kugels.
Kugel's Oktoberfest, pure traditional German style Marzo beer.
Don't get me
That's
to
really
say
I've
that.
never had this one before.
No, it's from Wisconsin. I got this when I went out there for a client, and they were like, "Hey, spotted cow," and then this are the local ones, and I saw it at the store today. I was like, "All right, that's
Is
what's
it
up."
light?
It's medium, if you wanna,
Is it hoppy?
yeah.
A little bit, not as like an IPA or whatever, but
So where should we start? Should we start at the beginning?
that's usually the best.
Well,
one.
I like to jump.
And when you get to the end, stop.
well then if
Good
you're starting at
idea.
the beginning, that would have to go with her.
Yeah.
You are the beginning to this, to this, to this.
In the beginning,
And
in the beginning, there were these two people.
On one side.
Oh, is that Grandma?
That would be Wanda Levitt and
That's
James.
Grandma's break?
I can't remember. Is it James Levitt? James Levitt? Good job, Kyle. Because I wouldn't remember.
How do you not remember?
Because he
was
died
so
a year.
young.
A year.
Is
Wanda, oh, Jim. I guess it's Jim.
We'll go.
Well,
But
I
it's
think
James.
probably
It is James. It is James, though.
AKA nowadays James.
Oh.
Who therefore Robert, AKA Bob Daun and Sharon Daun.
What's Grandma's mom?
One.
Wanda. Is that the grandpa, or is it?
No,
Yeah, is
that's
this the? Did he smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's when. That's this. Do you know the story?
Oh, you know
Of what?
maybe I don't even know the story. Maybe
You know.
So when Grandpa Levitt passed away, your dad and I don't know where we were driving, but we were driving in our car, and they didn't have air conditioners in the cars back in the day. And so we broke down the window, and you were in the back,
open slot.
and we told you that your dad's grandpa passed away, and you knew him, and you said, "Oh, good."
And that's it.
Now he's
No.
now he's not smoking in heaven.
That's funny. Because what was that? That was like in 88 or whatever. So I would have been like 6.
88.
Yeah,
April,
and so we were like, "Oh."
like 15th. It was like a week or so before I turned 1.
Oh, so you were there.
I was alive. I just wasn't cognitive of his.
You don't remember it.
But he remembers the dates.
Yeah. I remember pictures of
There's other times you haven't been cognitive.
Yeah, but then I probably don't remember them, right?
That's right.
I was gonna say, I think this is like one of the first funerals I remember because it was like weird to me because they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and talk. Like they're gonna talk about Grandpa, but I didn't hear about that. I heard Grandpa's gonna talk, so like, oh, I'm gonna get up out of the casket and talk, but I wasn't a part of that, and I left at night or whatever. So I thought that was weird for a while. So,
That's how these things work.
yeah, I was like, okay.
I would assume that if Grandpa Levitt was your first funeral experience, then mine, as cognitively wise, I remember Grandma Levitt, and I was probably about
7?
maybe 9 at the oldest.
No, you were not. I was
I'm
not.
I'm 7 years older than you,
Well, okay.
so 9,
But I don't-
9 and 2.
Oh, I guess 2, but I
So
thought
you
I was
were-
a tiny baby.
That's tiny, and you
Oh,
were.
that's 2. That's Tom's
Mom
size.
was still married to Dad until you were 3. They were separated. In 1997.
And when
they
she
separated.
passed away, we were separated.
Yes.
And we lived in the house on
On
the
hill
hill.
on Hyde.
And your
Okay, I
grandmother,
remember that house. So.
and your
Where-
grandmother,
Where I was asking you about.
your grandmother Sharon called me and told me
Oh, was Dad at work or something?
we weren't
They
together.
weren't together.
It's like a board.
He had
But why did Grandma?
Dad. You won't remember this.
Because I was her
apartment.
mother.
You won't remember this apartment that Dad had, but Kyle and I probably will a little bit.
Did it have a swimming pool?
No,
No.
that one was after this one.
It
So
was like
across,
an old town or
across
something.
from this Idaho State Journal.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was horrid.
office. It was a downstairs basement apartment,
Dangerous.
Yeah.
studio,
Had to keep his gun out at all times.
and
I think he probably just did that.
No. No, he
it was
needed
the
to.
area.
No, because it was right next to like the
yeah,
alternative kid's house or something.
it was
Oh,
in that
did
same
you
gym.
have-
Yeah, I remember that.
No,
You didn't have
I had classmates in one year.
Not at that school, not at that point in time.
No.
You were a baby.
No, I wasn't a baby.
Well,
He was 9. Remember, you just told me I
Yes.
was
That's a baby.
2.
I was about 10 probably when he lived in that
I was
house.
really tiny.
Me?
No, the
Her.
house.
Oh, the house, yes. I'm like, what in the world?
Did you remember
So then-
like Grandma Mosher died?
So that
When
was
she died?
That was just after James had passed because I was 3
She passed first.
Oh, that's what I was
Grandma
thinking.
Mosher passed first.
Before
Which one's
11.
Mosher?
That's
Grandma
that's
Mosher.
that's
Grandma's.
Grandpa Dawn's mother.
Biological mother. And then when Grandpa Bob's dad passed away, Grandma Mosher married another man, and his last name was Mosher.
Because I don't think I ever,
Oh, okay.
I wasn't alive. Yeah,
Wait, so
I don't
there-
know if I was in her.
So Grandma Mosher was Grandma Donna.
We're little.
Yeah, I
Great
was
Grandma Donna.
Okay, yeah.
And then
And what was
Her
her
husband.
first name again?
Who?
Grandma Mosher's.
Grandpa's
Lydia, I
mom.
think. Is
Grandpa's
it Lydia
mom.
Mosher? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think it was Lydia. It wasn't his dad, Frank?
I'm pulling.
Frank
Yeah, I
Daun?
thought it was.
Frank
Daun.
Daun.
Yeah, Frank.
Well,
And
Francis.
Lydia
It was Francis.
Mosher, Wanda Levitt,
James.
James Levitt,
Sharon and Boyd Levitt.
and Boyd Levitt.
And Boyd passed away 8 years ago.
Okay.
As of this week, I've noticed.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Good night. Did you go to that?
No, I didn't go to it, but
Was he in
I'm
like
friends with
Blackwood or
Reed.
something?
I'm follow Reed's on my
Oh,
Facebook.
that's where Reed. Okay, I always heard about Reed.
Reed's an interesting gentleman.
He's not as interesting as Todd.
No, but he's more accepted now than
No.
Todd.
Let's move on.
Interesting in that way.
Than
Let's
Todd.
move on.
He's got a roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had one for 27 plus.
Who's Reed?
So,
He's
Boyd's
cousin?
son,
Boyd's
Boyd,
son.
one of Boyd's sons.
Yes.
Are we gonna
But-
talk about the other sons too?
Oh, they're kind of crazy.
Should we?
No, let's not.
Yeah, that's a deeper, darker side.
That's who. One of the
So-
other ones passed away when I
So
was
there was,
The left
senior in high school.
The left side's a little rough.
so there were the great grandparents,
Mhm.
the grandparents.
Which one called me Little Beauty? This one?
Correct.
Little Beauty, and then
This
these
is.
two met.
I'm assuming that
What's
is.
that?
I'm assuming that
Oh,
is.
that's
Say that it's a mom and a dad.
That is a Donna and a Tracy in 1980.
Were you there for
Is
that
that a
one?
prom photo?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, it is.
Oh, it's
Oh.
so
I don't
funny.
know.
Your dress is like
What
so.
year-
It looks like a wedding dress.
What year would
Is there
you?
anything back? Is there anything written
Wait, no,
on?
this is no. Dad has a wedding ring on.
Oh, maybe it was, it was.
You want to know what
senior
color that?
prom.
You want to know what color
Oh,
that?
because you got married on May 1st.
Got
You
married
want to
May
know
1st
what
and then-
color their wedding was?
Blue.
And
I don't
white.
need to know because I was there.
You were there.
You were there too.
I looked over. I
You-
watched over.
Right. She watched over that many
Did
years.
Graham have all these pictures, or
No,
is
these
that
were mine.
that's yours?
Yeah. Welcome to.
I would say that's what I like about
Welcome to
the
only
old days is
1%
you had
of her.
actual
stock.
physical
Look at my
picture
phone.
instead of
This
trying
is
to
only a
digitize
0.5%
everything.
of her stock, probably.
Nicole
We've
knows.
gone through a lot of them.
You got a lot of them scanned on your phone, didn't you?
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, here we go.
There's a little.
We should, I don't know if I have that one scanned on my phone. I think we should keep it out.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay.
Oh man, you can see the hairdos through the decades,
Oh, he's right
Not
about the
Dad.
ones that.
Well, like-
Serious. Well, I guess this one is better, and then he kind of went
Right.
weird.
yeah.
Those
So
are
You can scan it right now.
Oh, I could.
There's no rules on this podcast.
you guys and your cool.
It's more wholesome now, but there are still no rules. Oh, here we
I'll
go.
give you some of the professional photos.
What's that?
Oh,
Oh,
man.
look at that. Got me.
Man, look at that, 1994. Jeez
Oh, it's the same
Louise.
time.
You just hear Joe Diffie playing
You're
in the
so cute,
background.
guys. Brandon,
Jeez
you look-
Louise.
Our Billy Bob and you are
Oh yeah.
you and Billy Bob are
Very
same.
similar.
Crazy.
Not the haircut because I don't do that to him, but
Oh, Is that something that loving mothers do or don't do?
I don't think that they love you too much in this day and age
Oh.
if they do that to
Oh,
you.
how sad.
But that day
Hey,
and
but in
age, they love you
98,
much.
everybody
Right.
had that.
They loved
Right.
you then.
This
So
was-
I do appreciate that you didn't do any of those 80 photos or those early 90 photos where everybody's in the same outfit
Right.
and doing those weird,
You want-
those cringeworthy ones.
Kyle and his dad had the same shirt
Oh.
in in a.
Well, here's one, they're pretty close.
pretty-
Yeah.
It's a cool one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's-
Yeah, okay, but that's like flannel.
Those
It's not
are
like
the good days. You want to
Hey,
know when
we're-
that is?
1994.
we're gonna be doing
Also
an entire
Saturday.
jean.
I was
The
in
white,
a
the
jean-
white sneakers. My
The-
I was
God.
gonna
yeah,
say,
being like
only
jean
reason-
top, jean bottoms.
I was gonna say
White
either
sneakers.
93 or 94 because we got a dishwasher and
What?
and
Here it is.
and
Don't let him drink anymore.
Half quarter in there.
right.
What the
And-
heck?
It's funny.
And I halfway remember when we had the kitchen, we rearranged the kitchen because you were like, so you're gonna have a baby sister and we have to make room for her carrier.
I probably said that.
But yeah, at the same time, we got a dishwasher and the kitchen was getting rearranged from when we first moved into the house in like 1993 or 2.
Yeah, well, Kyle would say you've always had a dishwasher.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he remembered it was
That was-
automated.
Yeah.
So then,
That's when we were getting.
Wait, well, I guess it was a year and a half then.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it says 1 year, 6 months. 13. Wow, you were like spot on.
yeah, she was counting
She
days.
stopped doing that one.
That's because she worked for security. She was working at a bank.
what?
I said you had the numbers down precisely to the day because you worked at a bank at that time. And then it started fading, just started putting their names. Yeah,
So at what point were you like, I don't have like a 18-month-old or whatever? You're like,
Oh my
or
gosh.
is it like, oh,
guys,
I got a
that
78-month-old?
I gotta find it.
Yeah,
This
why
is
is
Got
girl.
somebody like that?
Yes, I know somebody. And it wasn't months, it was weeks.
Why can't we shop like that?
He was like 10 months old or something, 10
We
and a
should be able
half
to
months,
shop like
10
that.
months, 1 week, I don't know, but
It's like
she's
40
like,
weeks old.
I used to use that.
Yeah.
40 weeks old?
Yeah, 40 weeks, like,
Jeez.
Oh, no.
You're like,
I think it was like
Shoot,
46
24
weeks.
months maybe, you'd be like, oh, they're 24 months, 2 years old. But I wouldn't go anything over like a year and a half.
24
18
months,
months.
18 months,
Yeah.
not like,
Oh, I got a 36-month-old toddler
Here's some
here just
grandparents.
kicking away.
that's what I was like, this is.
That's an old one
There
there.
is the Grandma
Months and
Levitt.
months.
Oh, wow. That is what years? I don't
Babe,
know.
That
I
looks-
might need you to start stacking pictures of
Oh,
some.
Honestly.
we can stop.
I started by sorting them by generation, but
I would do a job, but
Make
I'd
a family
probably
tree.
mess it up over here.
yeah.
There's
Just
no
about.
job, I
It's
mean,
like,
there's no.
this one looks like you're like a senior in high school or something. 2013.
Yeah, that's after,
That's, yeah,
that's.
that's your first year
Spring
of
break.
college.
That's when you went to jail.
This
Oh,
one was,
That's
Oh yeah,
great.
let's get into that story.
Let's look into that.
The first time is like, let's get all the good stuff out.
let's not jump
those
30
dates.
years ahead yet.
Yeah,
Do you want to
so
show those? Those are fun.
yeah, here we go. We get this
Oh,
gets
is that
us
like
a little.
SeaWorld or whatever?
This might get us a little more
Oh.
chronological if we want
Yeah.
to do that. So we got to talk about this. Is Cassie is the dog.
Yeah, that was Kyle and I's first.
That was the first dog I ever had.
Yep, and we drove all the way to Utah to get that
Which
dog.
part?
Really?
Well, that's not that far.
Do you
It's
know
only
which
an hour
part?
away.
What part of Utah? Because like Nicole said,
By
that's
the
not.
Golden Corral,
Golden Corral.
They had Golden Corral in
So by
1990.
Lagoon.
something like that, I don't know.
So by Lagoon.
Where was it? Yeah, where did you guys drive?
She doesn't know.
She's so cute.
Said Utah.
This is like a manual slideshow here.
There you go.
That's crazy.
Oh, we're in Easter egg and
Oh, is that what that is?
Oh,
Kyle
nice.
with the camera around his neck. Oh man, you look like the smallest 73-year-old man in
The
this
short-
picture.
Oh my god.
Hey, it's bad
I think
grandpa.
that was
It's like the sweater, like partially zipped
I
up.
think that was in San Francisco.
Johnny
That was-
Knoxville
that's
is
the
early.
craziest
Yeah,
place.
Yeah, that's
That's the
funny
company
because I went out to a
that's-
client and then me and my buddy went out
This
there
is
a
a
couple
young
years
Johnny
ago.
Knoxville.
taking a
And did you
picture
like just like that?
Like that? Well, I didn't remember that one existed. I was like, but yeah.
For goodness
I
sake.
was like, after I
You
go on
should've
my
turned
walk,
this This should have been your headshot.
I was
You
like,
should have been the that's
yeah,
what
after my walk, I'm gonna have a nice meal and go to bed at 5:30.
And
Alright.
then this next one, what's the
I
trophy
think you
for
could
in
have
this
been
one?
like,
What year is that?
This is 93. You're holding a trophy.
So that might be like a football trophy.
T-ball.
Okay.
No, Kyle was
Oversized
13
shirt says
or
softball.
11 softball.
So yeah, maybe it was
Oversized shirt.
softball.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks like
11.
a softball thing.
That's the thing that blew up that I was telling you. The
Oh, the
blew
shelf?
up. Yeah.
That bell.
Oh, the bell shelf.
That brass bell shelf. Yeah.
That was scary.
So softball. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Look how lazy I am.
Look at that TV remote.
So,
But his
yeah.
eyes are open.
Halfway across the country in western Kansas, I was being born about that
There's the
time.
Bible.
Oh yeah.
That's
That's the big Bible I was telling you.
So when I'm over there playing football, you're being born.
So we have proof
Yeah.
that the Bible has
Pretty
been
much.
around for 30 years.
So you're number 8. Were you a quarterback?
No, wide receiver. That was like
That
I
was
think
the
this was the
Dolphins.
first. This was the first year I
That was
ever played
Pee-wee.
that I ever played football.
That was before his
And I think this was the one and only time you ever won the championship.
Were you a dolphin? That was
Yeah,
like a
that's what it
dolphin
was. It
dolphin.
was the Dolphins.
You want to
I
see
either
some
remember
pictures
that
before
or I
Nicole
just
came
think
around?
all those
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It must have been.
Was
You're
I don't know.
so
I must have been like in 5th grade or something because
Oh, okay. Is this Disney World here?
it had to have been 'cause-
Land.
or Universal
Yeah,
Studios.
Universal Studios.
Yeah, because Roger Rabbit is. I think that.
We never went to World.
Yeah, no, that's too far.
Never made it that far when it was.
How long a drive was that for you?
Oh,
I never.
Oh, it was like
I
3
never
days
tried.
because didn't we stop in like
Las
Las
Vegas?
Vegas
We
or
did.
Reno or something like
We
that?
did
Yeah,
stop
because
in
we went
Vegas.
to
Grand Canyon and all that.
No, we didn't go to the Grand Canyon.
Didn't we?
No.
I never went to the Grand Canyon until I had my kids.
Where did
Have
we
you
go
ever
then? No.
But I remember
we were
going
through
to Circus.
We did go to Circus
That's
and we
amazing.
played games.
You used to go to Circus, didn't you?
Yep. I went to Circus when I was
Don't mind
5.
me. I only was 2 or so, if you can't tell.
So I must have been like 10 or something in that, or
9.
8, 9, 10. I don't know. That's
It-
probably when you take your kids to Disneyland, right?
It used to be a fun. Yeah.
Wait,
And Vegas
I
used to
had
be a
to
fun
like
place to
three.
go.
Yeah, I want to say it was like
you're
more
3, then-
family oriented and
Yeah,
Oh,
the,
Vegas?
then
the shows.
yeah, like Vegas and stuff, and then it got
Doesn't say.
flipped in the early
Doesn't
2000s.
mean that I was hoping that
Yeah.
they'd be
Cater
able
to the
put a
older-
print date on it, but
They realized that gamblers were
The only
people
way
were
we'd
making
find
more
out
money
is
off
if
it.
we
went
So
to
if you have guys that are on a
Disney and
bachelor
found out
party or
what
whatever,
year
they
that
were going to spend.
Who looks like it?
They're going to spend more
like
than
in
a couple with 2
1987.
kids
Yeah,
on a road trip.
Right.
As I say, you can't really hit the slots. with
I
2
like
kids
how
like
we
that.
dressed Nicole as a rabbit during Halloween.
But
Where was that
it's
one?
because we're in Pocatello. And you
Because
have to wear
we
cold-
were in
Cold
Pocatello.
weather stuff.
Oh, they had child leashes back then too.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Well, oh no, this was the wrist one. That's the thing that annoys me is having those kids on backpacks that have a leash. It's like I'm gonna go walk my kid.
I was on one of
I
those.
had to.
That
I'm
kid
pretty
ran
sure
away.
that's- I'm pretty sure that's what mine was when we went on that
You
boat
know
in
what?
San Francisco Bay that year. But I don't know.
When you were
Maybe
12?
If
no, this yeah, right.
If they really love you, they'll come back, right?
Set him free.
That's what happens to my dogs. If they
It
find
would-
somewhere else.
It would work better if it
They
was
find a
actually
better
like
life.
a dog leash, retractable, and had a spring in it, so that way it actually came back to you.
Slide you back. What were you gonna say?
So we get Kyle in 1981,
2.
2.
82.
The
Okay.
age
Brandon
of
comes
the-
in the picture
April 87.
April of 87. And then the trip to Disney World looks like, is that
Land.
1990?
90, 91.
Disneyland.
Yeah, it has to be
That's a
something.
big difference.
Yeah,
Big
It's
difference.
probably 90, 91 at the latest.
Okay.
Something like that.
And then everyone was born in Pocatello, right?
I was
We were
born in
Blackfoot.
Blackfoot.
Oh,
And
so you
I
two were
was
born in
Pocatello.
Blackfoot.
Yeah.
Dad was born in Pocatello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was born in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
You like the
She's a transplant.
Oh no.
You talk about
Came here voted Democrat for
now she's
20
now
years.
she's now she's freaking what she says. That's
You
funny.
know what?
Oh, look at that. What is this?
That's when I was born.
I was gonna say, why is
That's my tree that I showed you.
yeah, I was like, this is Nicole's birthday. Why is there a Polaroid? But
Well, Grandma Dawn was there
that's crazy.
watching you,
Like,
watching
so
you
that's
and I.
that's that. And then
That's
I
bomb.
need to see the picture. What it
How
looks
about
like
that?
now.
How about that ancient
Oh,
Grand
did I
Dam?
show you? tree?
I thought you did, but I might have missed it.
That ancient red.
There's your Cassie.
That's when
Here's the
that's
tree
when
now.
she got her old haircuts all done up, all nice. So
That's so funny.
So do you want to tell what
Well,
happened to Cassie?
Hey, give him this.
which time?
Here,
Oh,
this is Nicole's tree. What does it say on the back? It
Oh
says
yeah, this is awesome.
12 Daun, 12 noon on the way to the hospital. So before I go to the
Cassie. 6 hours
hospital,
later.
before I go to the hospital, let me get a picture next to this tree real quick
That she
that we
planted
planted.
10 hours
remember,
prior.
Well, I came 2 weeks early,
what put her into labor was digging the hole.
No,
And then this.
it was planting.
what,
It was
3
planting
days
all
ago?
the flowers the day before in the rain.
October, what, 23rd, 22nd, 23rd probably?
Same
Friday?
tree, but that's from this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably that Friday. So the 22nd. Yeah.
Well, when I drove by there on Thursday,
yeah,
it looked like a party was coming out at that house.
The grass still looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it needs to be mowed.
Okay, you have to. Oh, slow down a minute.
See, that was before there was a basketball hoop there.
So then here are.
I think we got that basketball hoop that
Okay.
Easter, the following
Something like that.
the following year, Easter.
I tried to take a picture like Mom.
Oh, did you?
Oh, did you go up and ask him?
No.
Oh, nice.
It's like I just trespass wherever I want. I used to live here.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Eminent domain rights.
Yeah,
Used
so
to be
we
mine.
You would have made
we
a couple
pulled
of
up to
loops.
that house and she was like, I don't care if you think it's weird, I'm going in the front yard and I'm taking a picture standing next to this tree with my pregnant belly. And I was like,
And he was like, "Do you want to knock on
She's
the door
like,
and tell them the
you need to
story?"
take it.
I did think it'd be cool if you would have knocked on the door and told them the story. And even if you could have shown them that picture.
I was like,
Yeah.
"They can come out and ask me." And they're like, "What the heck are you doing in my yard?"
Checking out their ring. They're
I
like,
thought
why
they
did
might
this?
have appreciated it.
Why did Sonic come here?
I wonder. They used to. Oh, no, that was the other one. They had like wagon wheels in front of the house.
We gotta slow down. We're rushing into like one story before we finish the previous one.
Yeah.
You're the mean.
I'm trying to-
Yeah, you're doing it.
He's like, I like all the stories.
We so what do
Kyle,
you guys
yeah,
remember? What do you guys remember of? Well, so Kyle, what do you remember of Brandon being born?
Ooh, that's tough. Like, I just remember going to the hospital and then, like, because they, like, I don't even really remember her being, like, pregnant, but I just remember being able to hold this new tiny thing, right?
Here's a baby for you.
I don't even think it was at the hospital. I thought you brought him home, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was, like, in the living room or whatever.
And when we came in through the door, he gave you a present,
Yeah.
and it was a little car.
How kind of you.
I must have stolen it because I didn't have
Oh,
It was
that's where it started.
It's like, I offer this as tribute. Please
Don't ask where it came from because I don't
Part of
know.
the tribe.
We will make peace now.
Yeah. I will take it back when I'm older.
Do you remember moving to Pocatello?
Me? Yeah. Yeah, because because I remember moving into
You were like
The-
10,
the
right?
Dion house. Yeah, because I was like in the
He was in the fifth.
fourth going into the fifth grade.
You moved in the summer?
More
It was
or less.
before the, I don't know, the school year
It was
ended.
before the winter.
Yeah.
I was going to a daycare prior to starting kindergarten the following year. So he had to it had to have been at least late summer or so before we moved. or
Yeah,
so.
because we moved there so you could go to school.
Otherwise you would have stayed in Blackfoot?
Well, I think it was like the commute or something. Like you didn't want to drive from Blackfoot to Pocatello every day to go to school.
It was 1992, I think, when we moved there. So I halfway remember, and I don't know if it was the year prior or if it was the year that we did move there, but that time frame, you see this white pickup truck behind your car, and it was at the same time that I would assume they got both cars. But I remember Dad purchasing his truck from 21st Century Ford in Blackfoot.
I remember that too.
That white one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that one right there.
Is that the Pontiac that you?
yep. That was the mud car. We'll call that the.
I can't believe that car lasted all the way
Me
to Brandon.
either.
Dude,
It would have still lasted if that lady wouldn't have T-boned me in
Oh, yeah.
2005.
well,
We'll get to that.
back to you, Kyle. Do you remember going to your grandpa Perry's and they had a swing set for you? And you would go out and swing, and you would yell for Graham, and you'd say, Pam, 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 because you couldn't say Graham.
Yeah,
And what did you call Mom?
Donna probably.
And
Right?
that was his first word was
Dawn.
Donna. It was just like that, Donna.
Sounds like Dad was saying Donna all the time.
Mhm.
No, I like remember that swing set because I'd get on it and I would be like, oh, I can look over the fence.
Oh, the horses?
Yeah, you can, yeah. I don't know. When you're like little, going as high as a fence, you're like, oh, I'm gonna fly.
I'm so
Well,
high.
you're behind a gate,
And
it's
then-
like Wilson and everything, and all of a sudden you can see over top.
When was it? I was
Oh,
gonna
my
say,
neighbors.
When did I like break my arm or whatever? Because was that before we moved to
Oh,
Focus
you
Home?
wanna
Oh.
know that story? That
I was a
in
baby.
Blackfoot.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
it was with
Black
swings too. So it
That was at Jensen Grove.
But that was me trying to jump out of the swing. So
Right
wonderful.
after I said,
Don't jump out of the swing.
don't jump out of the swing, and you jumped out of the swing, and
fell on,
remember the
fell on
rest
his face.
I-
remember the rest of the story?
I twisted my wrist. Well, my dad thought I twisted my wrist, and so I didn't go get a cast for like 2 days or
Did
something.
you
like
bleed?
And what?
that. I had like a bloody nose, and I think she was like shoving like
No.
pads or tampons
Yeah.
or something in my face as like a like
And you're like,
like
my
an
arm?
8-year-old or something like that. I can't remember.
And you're,
It's not
and you're
my
like, my
face.
arm hurts, and I'm like, you're bleeding all over. Put this in your face. Put this in your
You're driving around town with a pad on.
It's like, you
Yeah.
can't lose blood, but we don't worry about your broken arm.
But no, I didn't go to the doctor. It was like a day or two later.
Yeah, your dad was like, because your dad and I were separated again at that
Oh,
time.
Oh,
Was
that
that
was,
the first
And
time?
he came
that was one
over.
of the few, I guess.
Yeah, because that
Came
was the
over.
one that we lived up on like a different. It was like in a duplex. Yeah.
Mhm. Where Muffin kept running away.
Oh, yeah.
And your dad came over and he's like, yeah, he's no, it's fine. He's gonna be fine. And then it was broken.
Just the wrist.
Yeah. It was like a right.
What was it? Your right wrist?
I think it was my left wrist.
I can't remember.
What
Would you-
luck?
There's probably a picture of me.
Here
There's a
too.
picture.
How old were
Lily
you?
broke her.
I want to say it was probably like
7.
I was gonna say like 8 maybe.
So probably just before or just after the
Right.
trip to California, because he doesn't have a cast on in California.
See, but that doesn't make sense though because why would we go to California all together if you were separated?
We did weird crap like that. I
Hey,
mean, how many times did
we
separate-
planned this 2 years ago.
He came to
We're
California.
going.
Dad came to California when they were divorced.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he
Yeah.
also looked at it as like, well, I'm helping pay for it, so I might as
He
well
didn't
go.
pay for any of that.
Oh.
California trip. He
I
paid
made
for
a
his
lot.
hotel room.
I
That's
made
what
a
I'm
lot.
saying,
I made
so-
a lot of Rice Krispie treats and
Jeez.
sold them.
That's
And
what
you
I'm
guys
saying.
didn't have, remember you guys came and I said, we have this chance to go on this California trip.
She's not gonna buy Beanie Babies for a year.
And I said, we have to give up things. Are you guys
But-
willing to give up Happy Meals for the next year?
Aw,
And you were
and to
both like,
clarify,
yes.
This is the California trip where you were going for dance, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think
We'll call it 2001 California.
Yeah, I didn't.
So-
I wasn't here.
So
for that
we'll
one.
say 10 years after the first trip
Mhm.
that she was not involved in.
No.
so. Do you guys remember when Nicole was born? I mean, I'm sure Kyle does.
Yeah.
Do you remember Brandon?
He was 7, so he should.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember like going around the dinner table and like, well,
Mhm.
that was the
Oh.
thing. I think like you
Solidified
like
it.
sat us down and we're like, we're gonna have a baby.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, it was like
It was a
I need
little
to
more.
explain to them that they will be
Yeah.
having a baby
I have
soon.
to
And
explain
Yeah,
everything.
they put a
then it was
coffee
like I
house.
remember being like at dinner, being like, what are we gonna name the baby? If it's a boy, if it's a girl, and then we were
And then we
we're
became-
gonna name it Olive Oil. So that was always
It was,
Yep, I heard that story.
Olive, and they were like,
oh, olive oil. And
Yeah.
I'm like, sure.
They didn't go with that.
I was gonna say
Well, if we go
all the
by-
letters, all
if
the
we go
letters are
by-
in there, but
If we go by
Oh, maybe not.
naming around the table, then your next child's name will be what Selena said at the funeral, right?
What was that?
And oops, I didn't mean to.
Well,
And she's like trying to make up names and whatnot, and she's just like, shit. And she's like, oh, I didn't mean that.
That's not what I meant for a baby name. I swear. And I'm sitting at the
Tori and Brandon are just like,
yeah, that's probably our child.
that's funny.
I don't remember being born.
What
You
do
don't
guys-
remember being born.
What do you guys remember about her coming home?
Well, I remember being able to go and see her at the hospital. that
Yeah,
night.
that's the same thing as like.
And so I remember us all joking about her being not related because she was
So,
as tan as an Eskimo
She had olive complexion.
and black hair.
Yeah.
let's see, do we have a picture?
I was gonna say,
There's
well,
gotta be one.
There's
in
like
there
a
that's
what was it
gotta
like
be
when I was
2
born?
days.
It wasn't like Grandma Sharon or whatever. They're like you're an Asian baby, so that's not
It
your
was-
my grandkid.
It was Grandpa Levitt. that
Oh
said
yeah,
that.
it was
Because they showed babies in front of a window,
yeah.
and there was a bunch of people there, and that's what he said. Well, that's not a Daun baby, that's a whoa. It's just like,
They,
oh my
they mixed that one
goodness.
up with a foreigner.
That's what she thought, because you thought that I was gonna be like a blonde hair, blue eye baby.
She
And
look-
you're
she
like,
looks
"This
kinda
is the one
albino
from
right
the
there."
reservation."
No, there's your rabbit one. That's too funny.
We don't have
I wonder what I was eating.
a
You guys
brand new
must
baby
have
one in this
Not like had
pile.
school after.
This was Halloween
You
time.
must not have had to go to school or something. the
Oh,
next
yeah.
day, because that was kind of
How, how interesting.
it was. Well, I guess it could have
So
been like
when we
Easter.
These are Nicole's
Do
cats.
you remember Blackfoot?
Oh,
Brandon, do you
Some-
remember Blackfoot?
Something like when I was a baby, remember, or
Probably
what?
not then.
So bits and parts that I remember of Blackfoot,
Yeah.
I vaguely remember like the duplex Kyle
You need a
mentioned.
refill cup?
I vaguely remember
Yeah, I'd be down
that
for another.
because Dad had an '89 Ford. Well, I know the years and everything and whatnot, but an 89 Ford gray two-tone with a camper shell, or a bed shell, I should say. And I vaguely remember
Thank you.
always going over to the Wild Rose house across from Agnes's house and retrieving my white cat on 2 or 3 different occasions. And on the last one, I think we just were like, unfortunately, she's not coming type deal. But I remember the kid next door, I feel like his name was Brock, and that he wasn't a very kind, or he was probably troubled kid like me as growing up. But I remember saying, hey, we could always go and ask Brock, and that never ended up being a thing after like the third or fourth time trying to get the cat.
Brock was Julie Holy's brother's child.
Okay.
What'd you do with the cat?
The brother that passed away from getting kicked by the horse.
There was a brother that got kicked by a horse.
I
don't doubt it.
She had 2 brothers, and I think
That's
her
right.
father
Let's
that
say.
passed away on the farm or the cousin. It was a cousin that got ran over by the tractor.
It was a
Niece?
It was a niece.
Jeez. So,
Anyway,
but none.
We got
Okay,
there
so Brock, but yeah,
Yeah.
but Brock was the kid next door, and I think Kyle probably was more closer to his age than.
Yeah. No, I just remember, like the neighborhood there, like we were just a gang of little kids just riding around on bikes, causing trouble, but we never left the little loop that was Wild Rose. My mom said I can't go past
It was
this,
like,
so
it
it
was
was
like a
like,
little moon, little half.
well, it
moon.
was, it was like, I don't know, what would you say that is? It was like a horseshoe, but it's like you only can stay right here, and then we're like, oh no, kind of cross it so much faster.
quarter mile around.
Yeah, maybe like that, but little neighborhood or whatever. But it was like, yeah, you can go to the end of the road, and it was like, oh, I'll just cut across.
Where'd the white cat go?
So
Did
we
Sarah
must
keep
have-
it? Or did Agnes keep it?
No,
It
it
disappeared.
disappeared. It always kept going back to the Wild Rose house, or at least that general area. And
Yeah.
the neighbors next door had mentioned we saw her, but we haven't seen her in a week or so. From what Mom
Tells you.
told us children.
yeah, she
That-
didn't go
That
to a
cat went to
farm.
Right.
the farm? Oh.
No, not that one.
Yeah,
but there was a
that's
few
a
others
good
that
one.
made it that way, unfortunately.
Do you remember
farm? We don't
on Wild Rose the deck that your dad made?
I don't remember.
Made a really fancy deck.
I just remember
Off
seeing
of the
pictures
patio.
of it.
Did you own that?
I did, yeah, I think I do remember him building that.
That's the one where he shot the dog
Oh, I remember that too.
with the bow and arrow.
Because did I tell you or did?
I saw
Or
it
you
happen.
saw it?
And
What'd
I
you
was
see
on the
happen?
phone. I was
We gotta-
on the phone.
We gotta recount that story. I know everyone here's heard it, but we gotta get it recorded too.
What happened?
What year would you say this was? Because I was a baby and 2, maybe.
Do you
So,
you don't remember?
I don't remember. I just got the story and I got the aftermath, and I love saying it all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that Wild Rose house was like the back end of the fence was like a whole field or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess this
I wonder what it's
like
like.
dogs or whatever. There's a hole in the fence, and dogs would come in the yard and like tear it up, and it pissed him off. And then one day, he, like took out a bow and
And I'm standing at the sliding door window when he decides
This
to
is the best
wreak his
idea.
havoc on this dog.
Well, it
He
wasn't
didn't kill it.
raking it on the dog. He
no,
was-
he like hit it in the ass, and then it like I just remember it like
Yelled
going
and
die, and then like
got out the yard.
rip ass out the hole it came, and then never saw it again.
It got it through the.
Was it? I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, I
Yes.
just
Was
remember it like
sideways or like
Enough to where
down?
it
It
got
was
through the
like-
fence and
They
then
gave this dog a piercing,
It was like-
basically.
Okay, yeah.
It was horrible. You could hear the bow. You could hear the arrow.
oh,
And
the
I'm like,
release of the.
and I'm ah!
But then what? But then what happened?
The dog started running, and it was like trying to get out of the fence.
And
And
they get like
And the
stuck.
arrows.
with it.
Oh yeah, and then he's trying to chase it around, grabbing the arrow out of
and
it.
I'm just like,
He was trying to get his arrow back.
Yeah, because he's like, the arrow's probably a couple of dollars. He's wasting it on this dog.
We'll say $5 back.
I have no
Worth-
idea.
Worth $50 now.
I have no idea, but I remember the dog ripping ass through the yard and him trying to chase and grab this arrow, and then I don't know how it got out, but it eventually got out, but he didn't get his
Isn't
arrow.
it interesting how we chase after our bows and our
Arrows.
arrows, but we don't chase after our bullets?
Yeah. Well, you can't reuse a bullet. Well, you can
No,
use
you
a shell.
can't.
You can't
reuse
read.
grass.
Yeah, you can.
But
reuse
I'm
the
not-
casing.
Are you going to tell the
But
rest
you
of the
don't
story?
have. But the
Of
casing
the
stays.
of
the
the
dog?
of the bow dog. We're gonna call him the bow dog.
Okay.
His name ain't Bo, but
Bulldog chain.
so supposedly this dog was able to get out of the hole again with the arrow, supposedly.
That was a
because-
bolt. That should have just been
Because
simple.
mom is at a bank, I guess, a week later. And
Yeah.
she's standing in line,
What was that about?
and I'm not sure if she's behind or if she's in front to where she's like, I gotta leave, or she's like, I can't leave, I gotta just deal with this story now. But she hears this lady over talk to another customer about the most
Oh, it was the teller?
horrifying
Oh dang!
horrifying things she saw at the city park the other day. And supposedly the dog survived and it was still trucking around that $5 arrow.
in the city park, showing off.
Yeah, right?
It was fine. It's not sad.
Good thing it wasn't brought it. That's
Oh,
That-
yeah.
well, that's the thing. I think he did have broad arrow, so that was like,
Surprise.
yeah.
yeah.
As long as if it was a field tip, then that dog probably carried it around. But broadhead probably would have tore it up a lot
Oh,
better.
totally.
Yeah.
And this is why we have regulations now. More.
See, people
No.
don't follow them still.
Oh, fun stuff.
So
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible.
So we got into Nicole coming in the picture. Got into where do we go next chronologically?
From 94,
So
when we were at the
yeah, so
hospital.
Nicole was born, and then
Boy.
at what point in time did we move?
So the separation.
It had to have been
Which
a couple of years later.
There's
I
two.
don't know because
So we moved
I thought
to
it was
Grandma
two.
and Pa's for a little bit
did we?
in
Oh, dang, I don't know.
probably 97
I lived at Grandma Pa's.
for 6
There's no way it
months.
was 97 because you did
No.
hopscotch houses.
Then it would have had.
It was
been
like you
when she
moved
was a
from
year.
Yes.
1040 Dion to 1032
But that was
Dion.
after high.
So yeah, so everything. So it was probably that year. So
Yeah, because they were one over each other.
So we lived at Grandma Pa's.
for about 6
We
months.
were at 1040 Dion,
Dad still lived there.
and
Dad still
your
lived.
dad,
was that a rented house? or-
Still
No,
No,
there.
the rented
No,
one
that
was the
was
one 2 houses
Yeah.
down or 1 house down.
and he freaked out about something or other, and so the police came, and they told him he had to leave.
Let me ask this
For the
question real
nights.
quick. is this the first time that the situation with Kyle and him happened? And that
Those
would be-
happened on different.
Well, I mean, the first
What do you
physical
mean?
versus yelling and whatnot, but the first.
At
full-
the Daun house?
Yes.
Oh, I was
Wow.
a bad little fucker. Like I'd go sneak into cupboards and
Oh, yeah.
unscrew him and take his candy, and
Yeah, you were so bad.
Well, I would assist, so I wouldn't say that you're fully.
I was a bad kid. I was a bad soldier too. So it's not like I
But I'm
learned
only
it.
I'm only
I learned
wondering
it at
if
the
that would be
beginning.
that time that I could cognitively remember
That's what Kyle calls honoring.
for a time that the police would come.
Where did I live in Grandma's house?
That's what I
We did the basement.
You know, I sort of remember that a little bit.
So we were in the family room and my room.
Okay.
I think I
and
remember that a little
every day
vaguely.
I
How
did-
long was that for?
It
Only
was
6
about,
months.
no, it wasn't 6 months. It was like,
Felt like it.
It did,
it felt like
It
I
felt like
remember.
Did you have to drive
was
to
a month.
school?
No, we were adolescents. We were kids. She would drive us to. You would go to St. Mark's or St. Anthony, and I would go to Tendoy, and he would go to Highland.
Oh, I didn't know we all still went to Pocatello.
Yeah.
there's no way.
It was-
that
it
I was
was
in high
yours.
school by then.
No. Okay, so let me think.
Let me
Okay.
think.
All right, so
If it was 95,
Nicole was like 2.
so
It was
90
before I had graduated
Or 1.
college.
Two or one.
96.
So
It had to have been a short time because I remember that White House on the Hill,
That's Hyde.
Hyde Road.
That's where Steve lives.
So
right?
that
That
was
was
your
next to
sophomore
Steve.
year.
Yeah, that's when I was in 10th
Highland.
grade.
So after that,
We were only in that house for a year.
After
I
max.
remember that house.
after that situation, and the police told your dad he needed to leave for,
Because I must have been
That
like in 7th grade or something like that, 6th or 7th grade. If that's what
You
it
would think I
was.
was born in 6th grade.
So
When you were in 6th grade.
Kyle went into the 7th grade in 1995. Because in 94.
There's no way.
in
Because I
the-
have a Highland t-shirt that says Highland Football 96, 97.
No.
But
I guarantee
years,
it. but
you graduated in 99 or 2000.
In 2000.
But 5 years later, so 7th grade is 2000, or is 95. 5 years later, 2000 would be 12th grade.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1990.
does it matter what
I
it
don't
was?
remember, but no, I was like,
But-
that's crazy.
But I'm only going to go this route. I was in Tendoy for 2 years with Kyle. His 5th grade year and his 6th grade year. His 6th grade year, I got the stitches in my leg.
Why? What happened?
I thought we were gonna go in order.
But nonetheless, so
We just gotta make a note of that story.
in that fact, Nicole was born in 94. I was 7 years old,
True.
right?
2nd grade?
7 years old.
Fact.
I think
first
we can
grade.
verify that.
7 years old, 1st grade. Kyle was in 6th grade when I was in 1st grade.
Yeah.
5 years difference.
Yeah.
So in
But you
19
drove a half an hour
in 1990
Every
to
day,
school and back.
See, I thought I would have remembered that. Crap.
and
it was just some mornings that were rough.
Yeah,
and
waking up.
It didn't. It couldn't have lasted for too long.
it was a month.
Oh, okay,
it was a
maybe
month,
that's why.
And I was scared to go back to our house,
The Dion one.
the
Mhm.
Dion
Okay.
one, and we had a no contact order, and I was just afraid to go back. And Graham and I got into a fight, an argument about something, and she told me I was just a goody goody, and she was basically, I guess,
Kicking you out.
tired of us being there, but we weren't ever there really, because I made sure we stayed awake all day long, and then
I was gonna say that's easy when you go to school in a different town.
and so
we ate out a lot.
So what did I do
Is that where
in
I got dinner
when I got done with school?
from
Oh, I
the
would go. I would walk the swim team. Yeah.
So then they told me,
didn't
we
walk.
really think that, so this will tell you, it was summertime, we really think that you need to go back to your house.
You gotta start doing that.
And I was like, I'm afraid. And they're like, well, your lawn's gonna burn up and it's not gonna look very good. And you really need to get back. And so we think you need to go back this weekend. And I was like terrified. And when we went back, the first, probably week, I had us all sleep in the living room upstairs in sleeping bags because I was afraid to have each of you in your own room.
I don't remember.
And I was like,
Downstairs?
huh?
Yeah, no, I had a downstairs room, and I think he had a downstairs. It was like the laundry room,
And then Dad built.
and then we would
computer room.
sneak up there and take candy and
Candy,
stuff
yeah.
out of the drawer, out of the thing.
You want to know some more fun about
and
that house?
hoard it
Every
downstairs.
time we do that.
You remember you almost killed me?
Every time you knock it on the table, it's loud.
Sorry.
Get her a thing of cards. Get her some play cards.
There was one podcast where I kept I had a glass
And you would
that
just,
was
like-
not perfectly round, and I kept rolling it on the
Oh.
I get
And
there.
another
just
one
like
where
the whole.
we were snacking on veggie straws.
Yeah.
This is what I
And
do
you
when I
just
get
hear
all-
us like,
Your friend was like, you're just like chomping.
I just get crazy and I start balancing my cans because I get on.
Whoa. Oh yeah, you got some liquid in it to do that.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
too much.
So after
I just get
that,
all
somewhere
weird.
in there, we moved to the Hyde.
Okay, so the one up on the.
Mhm.
Okay.
When I was like 2.5.
Oh, it had to have been like
Mhm.
a fourplex or
It was.
It was.
something like
It
that.
was.
I remember the house.
Yeah.
And your bedroom was huge because it was actually the family room.
As you walked in, there was a landing and the stairway
Yeah.
and another small
Yeah.
stairway off to your left.
Uh-huh.
Your main window and under the carport was the main window of your room.
Oh,
Up above your room was Mom's computer room and office. Bathroom upstairs, in between that, Kyle's room, kitchen, living room. My
I'm
room.
hiring people to draw blueprints.
I don't know. We could have saved $2,200.
For some reason,
It
they
makes me
like.
think
For,
of the,
for some reason, they like a little bit more paper behind
They're
my
very
name.
descriptive people.
It's like all our funerals
Do
are
you-
at our grave sites.
And so do you remember when your bikes were stolen?
Yep.
Grandma and Pa gave you guys bikes and
I tricked mine out.
no, they didn't give you bikes.
My dad bought them.
Somebody bought, I didn't. And they were locked to the
Back,
the
back,
deck.
the back deck.
And some fools came by and stole them.
Mm-hmm.
you didn't lock them right then.
Yeah, they came
They
in.
cut the lock.
They were bad. They were like,
Oh, you
They
didn't.
Not-
were professional bike
weren't the
Was
stealers.
that
best
like
of
in the
locks,
backyard? Like they have to go in
Like
the
her car,
gate?
like her car was like parked right next to her. I remember that. How long did we stay at that house? What,
Not
like a
very
year or
long.
two?
only a year.
It had to. It was short.
It was
'Cause
very
she moved
short.
down
'cause
to
we were-
Daun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went back to
And then we
Daun.
moved back to Dion.
Because we were in a different school district for me, because I was supposed to go to Green Acres living up there.
Ooh, Green Acres is the place to be.
Well, it might have been. I wonder.
Farm life.
I wouldn't have known.
Farm life.
Right. They wanted me to go to Tenway. No, but that we moved back down because Tony, your friend Tony, lived just down the way, and her neighbors were moving and renting out their property.
That was a big house.
Scott and Karen
Oh, that
Oh
was
my gosh.
that was the one with the
Bernard
hot tub,
or
wasn't it?
Barn.
Yeah, the hot
Barn.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
The hot tub.
And
Yeah,
there
the
was
hot-
sunflowers.
Yeah, do you remember that house? You beat the hell out of it.
Oh yeah. That was with me and Torin.
Troy.
No, Torin.
Torin.
I did have a friend named Troy though.
Troy had the little white car, I think.
No, that was Torin.
Was that Torin?
I was friends with Troy in like grade school and middle school.
Was
But
the
you
Scott
said
guy,
you
like,
shot with a
heavier?
BB gun?
Yeah, like
Mhm.
we had pellet gun because it was the 90s. It was the Wild West.
Yeah,
We'd
so-
go to the pawn store, buy baby guns
He went to Cal Ranch,
and,
aka D&B.
and butterfly knives. And then we were like, all right, let's shoot each other with BB guns, pellet guns. And then eventually we were like, that hurts. So let's do target practice. And like,
On the house.
well, no, it was the garage. Yeah, it was the garage. But there was like a light and we were trying to hit the light, but we sucked. And so we like jacked up the sighting.
Because it's vinyl siding and it's cold
Yeah.
and it's brittle.
And
And,
it, yeah, everything.
Yeah.
And they had-
but
Yeah,
along
but
the
then what
side-
happened with that? Who called the police on that?
the homeowners, because they came and did an inspection and saw a whole bunch of BB holes in a brand new garage they just had done the year prior to us moving in, I guess. Is what I remember the argument being. Mom wasn't too worried about the whole aluminum shed being pelted up, but then she didn't know about any of those until they pointed them out.
I was quite oblivious. This is why so many things happened that I didn't know about.
Do you remember whichever friend it was that shot me in the chest with the BB?
Yeah, it was Tori.
Oh, great.
Yes, I do.
Or if it
remember
was even just
I was gonna say it was
Compressed
probably
air.
multiple.
that.
Where was I? Was I just like
You
watch
were
these
probably
things
at
happen?
daycare. You were probably at daycare.
I came home.
Telling
and
you, it's the Wild West.
I was
Like,
going-
they'd let me walk
I
home from
went to-
school and do whatever I
Yeah,
wanted.
Kyle was going to Alameda. I
Oh
went.
my
I went to
gosh.
Tendoy still,
how did
and
I
you were
survive?
going to
How did I survive?
daycare, or you went to St. Anthony's, and then you went to their childcare program afterwards.
Mhm.
You didn't get shot.
I didn't. It was a Catholic
No, you.
Yeah.
Well,
That's where,
that's
where you need to be so you don't get shot.
school. Apparently.
So we gotta take a quick intermission. It'll be an intermission for the listener. It won't be an intermission for us. What should we do for intermission music?
I don't know.
Let's.
Something from the night. Psalm 41.
oh wow.
That's not from
That's
the 90s.
no, that's early
Yeah,
2000s.
that's what I was about.
That's
You want the early
one
'90s?
that I'm
Oh,
like, oh, this reminds me of my
no.
brothers. One of them. Any of them.
What do you guys got?
40 ounces of freedom.
Oh yeah, by Sublime. Yep.
That's still not the 90s.
It's like early 2000s.
Sublime.
for sure.
That's
But I was
totally.
like, I was.
You want the one from the
It was
90s that I
90s.
hate? It's My Heart Will Go On.
Yes.
I freaking hate that song.
Because you made him listen to it.
Yes, you put it on repeat. And then it's like, but
That's what you do
that's what you
when you're
do.
trying to learn something. Quiet.
That's funny.
Should I let it keep spinning, or should I just go ahead and start the next recording? I can't remember.
Are you
I'm
on the
paranoid
Wi-Fi on
about
that phone?
losing-
Or are you on the?
Losing what? Connection?
I'm on data on this phone.
Why don't you just
I'm
connect it to the
paranoid about
Wi-Fi?
losing my recordings because it's happened before.
Oh, if you're connected to the house Wi-Fi?
Oh no, I don't think I need the Wi-Fi for it. I just need to.
Well, I was going to say, if you're running on data, why don't you just connect to the Wi-Fi and then you won't worry about it.
We'll start back up in 5, 4, 3.
Ooh, he's like a professional film.
It's from Wayne's World.
Mhm, all right.
I was obsessed with Wayne's World when I was a teenager. Watched it.
One's better than two.
Yeah, 2's still pretty funny though. I actually saw Wayne's World 2 before I saw Wayne's World 1.
Yeah.
And I watched it like 5 times.
Oh, this is my favorite picture. This one right here.
This is you with your tree again, after you were born. This is the picture that,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
the one that you showed me.
It's a little more flowered now. And that picture.
Look at that stick behind you.
So I'm pretty sure 40 Ounce of Freedom is 90s.
We'll find out.
I'll look it up.
There you go.
Jamie, check out what year 40 Ounce of Freedom was recorded. Because didn't Bradley die in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon's confirmed it.
Because Sublime and Rome came in like 2001.
Yeah.
92.
Really? That's when the band was formed, probably.
Release date.
What?
40 Ounces of Freedom was 1982.
That's what it says.
Wow, there you go.
Get it, guy.
um,
At least you're not like Nirvana and having to get sued by people right now.
Nirvana's getting sued right now?
Yeah, for that.
So the baby-
For the exploitation of their cover album.
Yeah,
the
I
baby
remember
is
those
suing
ones.
them.
Yeah, 30 years later.
So I heard he was a paratrooper in the 82nd.
Interesting.
Who's that?
The mom
The
had to
baby from
have.
the Nirvana.
Didn't the
album.
mom sign a release?
I would have assumed so. So there's
so
gotta
you
be,
can't, so you can't be suing them because the mom was like, you can take a picture, naked picture of my babies.
or
Yeah.
she submitted it because.
So is it, at what
whatever
point
it
is it
is.
child pornography?
Back then it was probably
Depends
very.
on what it's used for. It's the
Yeah.
context of it.
Did you see this?
No, that's a Tom. I see
Wow,
Tom
yeah.
in there. I see Tom in that though.
So thoughts on Kurt Cobain's death? Did
I
his
don't
wife,
remember
did his
it.
wife do it?
Courtney Love. Dude.
Did
I don't know.
Kurt
See, that's a crazy one.
Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself. There was, so did you guys see that video of the Marine who disarmed the dude?
Oh, in the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
He got an interview on the news and what was he said something about maybe you can buy me a beer sometime to the news anchor. And she's like, tell you what, we will make that happen. He's like, real quick before I go, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh, that's my hero right there. There you go. When you get the opportunity,
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
you gotta keep that alive.
That's kind of like let's go, Brandon. Is that somewhat of the
It is.
situation?
Yep, it is.
It is, but-
I can see why you like that.
Jeffrey Epstein was a scumbag.
Oh yeah.
But he didn't kill him.
But he had a little assistance.
He got suicided.
Yeah, he knows what
He
he
got
had.
suicided.
I say that all the time. It's like you gotta be careful on who you have your friends with. You might get suicided.
Just a couple of weeks ago, Bill Clinton was in the hospital, and
Yes.
everyone was like, "Oh no, it's finally happened."
What'd she do?
Well, I was like, Bill Clinton didn't kill himself. That's what the next
Oh yeah, that's
hashtag's gonna
right.
be.
We were like, we got to start that hashtag now.
Well, if Trump couldn't get her to go to prison, she'll do it herself.
I was gonna.
They all have that agreement together. They all talk big, but it's all behind. Oh, I'm sorry, but
I mean-
you know I gotta do this.
This is what has to be done.
No, like it's like, oh, I'm gonna get Barack Obama's birth certificate. I didn't really mean it, Mary. I'm just saying
Right.
that so I can.
So I can get under your skin.
Wow, so I can
They're all
just get
working
more
together
They
under
are.
the surface.
Yeah, with the Illuminati, right?
Oh man, we're gonna get canceled. We're gonna get pulled off of YouTube.
It's already happened. They're already getting tapped.
Yeah.
They only like you so much at one point or another, right?
So shooting up houses with BB guns.
There was a
Stealing
hot dog.
cars.
Oh,
stealing car.
Whatever.
Not
I
on
would
that.
steal a car.
Not in that house.
Oh,
In that house.
yes.
Or
I
ever.
wake up from a nap
No,
I come
that
up
Her
wasn't
car.
that.
Stealing her
Stairs.
car.
and my
Oh.
car is gone, and all
This
of a
is
sudden
after
I
we
see
moved
a
from
note.
that house.
I see a note from Kyle Joe
Okay, how is that stealing?
that says, "Went to the store."
Was this at the
Okay.
Daun
Oh,
house?
he
still?
could have sent you a text message.
Yeah,
No, he
exactly.
couldn't have. But
Not yet until I got my cell phone.
Oh, that's a story.
I know, that's an
a
amazing
story.
story.
Tell the cell phone story.
Yeah, but that's not stealing a car if you leave a note.
What? Did you get a bag phone or something? Did you actually
No,
go
it
to the
wasn't,
store?
but it was a big
Yeah, I
one.
probably did go to the store.
Let's put it this way.
And then
This
he
is
went
when
to his friend's
this is
house,
when
and then he went
AOL.
And we robbed the liquor
Yeah,
store.
yeah, there you go.
Kyle has to tell this story.
This
For
is
what? The cell phone?
The
This is
cell
when
phone.
AOL became public.
Yeah.
That's
I
when-
remember the AOL discs, like getting them in the mail and stuff. But
Yeah, that's when he got his cell phone too.
no, what was it? I think I
He went
was.
to the mall.
Yeah, I went to the mall. I was like
Oh, yeah.
16. And so everybody was getting a cell phone, the little brick ones, you play Snake on it and everything. So I was like,
Yeah,
a cell phone.
It's 97.
They're like, all right, you need to fill this out. I filled it out. I was like, got the cell phone, got two cell. I got my mom a cell phone. I got two cell phones.
Yeah,
So
my
one for
cell
me
phone
and one
was
for
really
her.
cool.
So
So we
she
could
was
call her.
totally on board with
I
it.
was like, this is cool. Nice.
Yeah, and then it was,
Then it was-
maybe I was 17. I can't remember. Maybe I was 17 when I got them. I can't remember. But eventually it was like, hey, I'm going to the military. I don't want these cell phones. And they're like, whoa. You can't do that. You're in a contract. And I was like, doesn't matter. I'm going to the military. Well, you signed this agreement. And I was like, well, you can't enter an agreement with a minor. And they're like, well, you falsified your age. And I was like, no, I didn't pull your paperwork out. And I had my real birthday. And I was 17. And they're like, we'll just take them back.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They're like, don't speak of this.
Like, yeah, no, when I was like 16 or 17, like I pushed all the boundaries because I was like, I'm not an adult. I can do anything. I have no repercussions.
This would be one of the many
Who do you
people
think
that
I- who
make
do you
the
think I am?
regulations we have now a
Yeah.
reason.
Did you?
I don't think it's who do you think I am? It's like, how do you like me now?
How do you like
There
me
you go.
now? How do you like me
You
now?
like
What
Toby
do
Keith.
you think of me now?
No, how do you like
It
me
was that
now?
I think that's
How do
It
you
was before Toby
That
Keith
was-
became how do you like me now
That's
guy.
where Toby Keith got it.
Every
Yeah, you
time
should
he
be
left
getting
the house.
infringement.
It's like, go get my royalties.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think about that till right now.
When you were, I think it was Flo. When you were dating Flo, did you ever get gas and
Throw
drive
it in
away?
stuff.
When I get gas and what?
Drive away with me.
With you?
I was in.
And leave Flo behind?
No.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
did it
cool.
pay?
Like dine and ditch
I
with your
don't-
gas.
Because I don't remember.
I don't think I'd ever done that. Like, I don't usually do that. Like that.
That's why, because I'm like, I remember you getting gas, like, you didn't ever go inside. You got gas.
That's because the
And you got in the
debit
car.
card became a thing.
And then you drove away.
I'm
So I
trying to
was
think,
like,
did I have a
did he
debit card?
still
Did I have a
car?
debit card?
Did he
with
still
that?
get
I don't
us?
think so. I don't know. I might have had a debit card because I remember Grandma Sharon getting an account with it for me or something like that.
Mariah did that.
I don't want to say, but I'll say I can probably vouch that I know he did.
That I got a debit card?
That he had an account.
Oh, I definitely know I had an account. We had Grandma Sharon.
But
give
do
me an
I
account
want to throw myself under that bus?
because it took me forever to try and close that because it was like she was a
a-
signatory on it and she hadn't died yet and I couldn't close it out. I was like 20 something years old. And I was like, I want to close my account out. They're like, she's the guardian on it. I'm like 26 years old. Let me close this out. They're like, no, she has to
Does
sign
the
off
key
on it.
bank on the corner in Pocatello ring a bell?
Yeah, that's the one we went to. The one on like, yeah, what is it?
Yeah,
Pocatello Creek and
Yellow- Alameda.
I just wanted a bank account or whatever.
He needed to cash his
So we
checks.
called
He
Grandma.
Oh, for
he was
non-pro,
working
yeah.
in non-pro
Yeah.
during the summer,
Oh.
and he needed an account to cash his checks.
Yeah.
And he was 16. He just got the 82.
Do multiple
You-
deposit.
Working at non-pro. Was it the same time your dad was?
Yeah,
Grandpa.
off and on.
Well, same
Yeah.
time as Grandpa, right?
Yeah, because
He was.
yeah,
working.
Grandpa Bob was working there, and then Grandma
Yeah.
Sharon was working there. I'd go to work with her, and she would
She was
Right.
she
on
would
the conveyor
sort
belt,
she would
right?
like sort the potatoes, and then I would box them, and that was like the worst job I ever had because it was like you had like 20, 30, 40, 50s, whatever, and you just stack them in these
Bins.
you'd stack them in these pallets for like 10, 12 hours a day. And I did that all summer, but then I'd go back to their house. They'd let me stay there during the summer. And I would dream about boxing potatoes. It was horrible. So I'd work like 18 or 20 hours in my mind. And so I was just exhausted. But yeah, like I didn't have to work on Saturdays. I'd come back. That's when I had the little red car. And I'd come back and hang out with friends and whatever.
Do y'all ever have dreams of like getting sent back to high school, like as if you like had some class that you had to finish in order to get your degree?
No.
Oh,
And
no.
you're-
College.
No.
You had dreams of going back to college?
And I'm doing this class and I go into the wrong classroom. It's not the class I'm supposed to be in, but I'm in there and then I'm like, how do I get out of here?
I think for those who probably like stress mainly on their educational process, probably deal with that more versus those who probably don't stress and like crunch and try to figure out like continuous education because
I wasn't. I don't do that.
Because I don't-
That.
I don't have
would hate to be a
flashbacks.
high school reunion. I don't know. For me, it's not even flashbacks. It's like I'm still 28, but for some reason I get sent back into like high school. They find
They're
out,
like, your high school degree doesn't count. You got to
yeah,
redo
they're like,
art.
you missed out on this stuff and you got to go back. So,
Oh, so it's not like you're the same age.
no,
okay.
it's like
Okay.
there's
They're
yeah,
like,
You got 3 kids.
your college degrees don't count because you're high school.
They're like, by the way, you're the
No.
oldest senior ever to be here, but you're here.
They don't let you go to high school if you're over 21.
Well, they should.
Buy
At
too
this
much
point.
alcohol for those kids.
No. really?
No, in high school, my senior year, I did nothing. Like I was
I
going to the
remember.
military. My recruiter said, "This is what you need to join the military," and that's all I did.
you're gonna get that GPA.
I probably
Football.
I played football. So yeah, I guess when I played football, I showed up.
You only
I
have
went.
to have
I
a
went to.
2.3 GPA.
Well, no, I went. I was like, you need to finish like English and something else. I showed up to that class at 10 o'clock or whatever, and school started at 8. I would do that class, lunch, weights, and then leave. And then the dean of students or the principal was like, you're not gonna graduate. I called my recruiter and I was like, hey, they said I'm not gonna graduate. He's like, you're doing your classes, right? I was like, yeah, just like you said, Sergeant. He's like, got you. Went in there, talked to him. He's like, walked out. He's like, you're good. And I was like, all right, I'm untouchable now.
I had some buddies who
If you didn't
in
think that
college.
already.
I was a little worried. I was like, oh,
I had some buddies who in college were like, borderline on some classes, whether or not they were going to graduate.
Mhm.
Talk to the instructor. He's like, well, aren't you going to commission as an officer in the Army whenever you get done with this? He's like, yeah. He's like, and if you failed, you wouldn't, like, you'd be set back a whole semester. He's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, man, you passed.
He's like, what do you need? C? Gotcha.
Yeah.
There you go. C's get degrees.
George Bush said so.
He's like,
Tell,
no, what he said, A's and B's are great, but you can still become president with C's.
and a doctor in Idaho.
Oh, yeah?
Mm.
George Bush is a doctor in Idaho.
No, he's not a doctor in any state.
So tell us the story about boot camp.
There's
And
a lot of stories in boot
And
camp.
how he couldn't see
Contact
without
lenses.
his
Oh, yeah.
contact lenses and having to have a mentor or whatever you call it because you just did what you wanted to do.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So you're not supposed to wear contacts because of field sanitation and all that, but I wasn't going to wear those nerd glasses, so I wore contacts for, good part of it. Like,
And then
I remember we were going to the NBC chamber, and they're like, if you're wearing contacts and you're not supposed to, you're going to take them out or they're going to melt to your eyes. And I was like, all right, I better believe these guys. So I did it. And I was like, I put them in my earplug case that was hanging off my pocket. And I was like, they're in water. I'll put some water in there, it'll be fine. Those CS pellets, they go through. So I tried, and I was like, yep, those burn in. So, but yeah, like I was wearing contacts. The drill sergeants found them and was like, you're like, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I got in trouble for that.
But didn't you ask Mom to send you more?
Oh, totally, yeah. She did. She did.
I'm a good mother.
There you go.
They don't search your stuff like they do at our work.
Apparently, I was like, I don't know. They say they search your stuff, but I don't think they care. So sometimes they did. So
How do you
I
think
do
this
remember on my birthday, somebody was like, "Happy birthday!" They sent like a box of candy. They're like, "Hey, Daun, it's your birthday," and they gave me this box of candy. They're like, "You got 5 minutes. Eat as much as you can."
Oh, that's
And they
nice.
smoked my ass
Oh,
after that. So
So you have like all
it was
this
like stupid
chocolate.
private. Yeah. But
We had a pretty good stash of Halloween candy because the privates got sent that in the mail.
oh yeah.
So it would end up in the office. But
See, that's always good.
Remember all the Girl Scout cookies you got one year?
Well,
That
that
wasn't
was
on
that was
Iraq.
when Iraq. I was like, yeah, you guys like, yeah. When was that? That was like in 2000.
215 boxes.
It was like,
Girl Scout.
oh
cookies.
yeah, it was legit like a box like this by this by this, and I got like 5 boxes, and I was like, Alpha team, you get this one. Bravo
Yeah.
team, you get this one. Charlie team, you get this one. And they
You
were
had like
just,
a picture on like a bowl and like tips for Kyle.
and we were giving them out to kids in Iraq, and we were eating them, and yeah, that was a ton of cookies. I was like, I don't know how that shipping must have been like $200 for all those cookies. It was crazy.
imagine those little Iraqi kids.
They
selling
said it was for
boxes, and
third
they were
world.
like,
Third
they have
world.
child soldiers in America. They have little girls in their military.
That's funny.
They're bad.
I want to be like the Thin Mint girl. No, you want to be like Tagalong.
What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
None.
None?
Samoa.
I love the Samoas too.
Caramel delights.
That's what they're called now. Yeah.
Why they choose that name?
Why do you
I don't.
Well, because
I think it's
Samoa's over
regional.
there just didn't really like.
I don't know. I
Samoa.
remember them as Samoas.
Yeah,
Just because of
I thought it
the.
might be a regional thing.
Samoans?
Like they were only
Yeah.
caramel delights.
More or less,
in the
I would
South.
assume.
Or-
Oh, really?
It's too.
Too
Not
close.
politically correct.
I don't know. They're delicious though. Those are my favorite.
Mm.
They're the
I
ones that
still
come with
like
the
them.
least amount of cookies, but they're
I know. They can
amazing.
They already. That's why they do
Do you
it.
get the ice cream
Yeah, we crushed
during that
those.
time when they do
the Samoa ice cream. Yeah.
Oh,
the
really?
Girl Scout ice cream?
I will say that there is a Dunkin' Donuts coffee hack. You can get a iced hot chocolate, get 2 pumps of caramel, and then 2 pumps of like coconut, and it tastes like a Samoa.
I'm glad we have that recorded.
There you go.
I'm gonna go back to that.
I'm waiting for a Dunkin' Donuts to show up on this side of the
I'm
world.
pretty sure you could do it at a Starbucks.
They're in Colorado. The cookies. So when we sent you those cookies, they were like $2.13 or something like that a box.
Yeah,
They're
they're
like
$5
$5 now per
Dang.
box.
Wow.
Yeah, we.
Should have held on to them.
When I
doubled
when I
my
support my
investment.
friends-
Doubled my investment.
When I support my friends' girls and their Girl Scouts, I'm like, dang, I don't.
Oh, 1 box per kid.
Like, did you like going to Girl Scouts?
No, I hated girls.
Would you have rather went to Scouts?
Yeah, that Girl Scouts,
I
they
guess
did,
that makes sense.
nothing. They
I guess
didn't,
that makes sense.
All
Why
they
they
did was
did it
sell
now.
cookies.
all they did was sell cookies. They taught
Anybody
me
else need a
nothing.
refill?
Yeah.
At least
Brandon,
Boy
you gotta-
Scouts has like
I already full
skills.
still.
Oh, never mind.
You gotta tell the story about Kyle getting pulled over.
Uh-oh. Which time?
What time you were with him?
Dude, I'm surprised I didn't lose my
The
license.
time that my criminal record saved him from having a criminal record.
I think that because Kyle got pulled over so much, they
Yeah,
knew
it
the
would've been
name,
this
so
many.
that you just got screwed. You got your
Oh,
license
yeah.
taken away because they're like, oh, another dog boy? Yeah,
That's
we're gonna
funny.
put that to the stop right
No.
away.
No, I made my name solidified just myself. But so this was Kyle's probably senior year.
Oh, it definitely was. I was going to the army. It was the summer.
He had nothing to do, nothing to worry about.
I was untouchable. Did you just
So-
hear that?
I'm not sure whose house it was, but it was out off of Whitaker and in that mobile home park out there off of Highline and Whitaker.
That was probably Kessin's house then.
No, Kesson was more in
Get
Chubbuck.
ready, you're gonna find out.
I'm trying to vaguely remember.
Hold on.
I-
See, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should go back.
Sean's grandparents lived back up off of Chickadee.
I never went to Sean's grandparents. That was Brandon's grandparents
Was-
that lived up over past like the Hyde House and then
Nope.
going towards ISU.
Nope. So
Yeah,
go. So
That was
no.
Brandon's
No,
grandpa's
no, no,
house.
I'm talking Sean's. When you came
I
back
never
from,
went to Sean's grandparents' house, I think.
you had a party there when you got back
No,
from boot
that-
camp.
No, that was definitely Brandon's grandparents' house, probably.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's keep
Location.
going. Just keep
Um,
moving.
They were at our friend's
he
grandparents'
was
house
he
partying.
that was this other time, but this time he was still in high school. So he was leaving, and I noticed him leaving the house, and that's when I was like, "Where are you going?" And I was up his ass about it, and he was like,
Don't leave
"This-
me.
This little asshole's gonna flip and tell my mom, obviously." So he agreed to take me with him, and the ride there was fine. And
Where'd you
then
go?
out to Chubbuck and everything, out to the trailer park out in Chubbuck and everything. And they had been hanging out there. I don't know who all was there. I know Sean was there and a few other
Probably
girls and whatnot. But I remember laying they were watching. I ended up laying in the living room watching TV or whatnot, falling asleep, and I have no idea what time it was. Probably midnight or after by the time we left. But he came out of that area, and the area right there is by Courtesy Ford, and he
Yeah,
came
over
out
the overpass.
or the overpass. He could have came over the overpass, and then he go down to Yellowstone.
Yeah, and then they made that
So-
curve.
So I'm assuming that officer was coming up over the overpass.
Oh yeah, no, well something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was coming out.
Opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah, opposite direction.
Mhm. And so that car being little manual or whatnot, I would assume that Kyle probably was hot on it and or whatever right off the light or out the intersection. And so being late, no cars, Pocatello,
Nothing else to do.
Kyle's automatic, it looked probably like a DUI, knowing what it would be nowadays. Kyle assumes he can probably outrun what was about.
Oh, he took off. I saw him bang a Yui, and so I was like, "All right, we need to." And then I cut down I was cut down some side road and made some turns and everything like that.
And y'all,
Car shits the bed,
Oh.
dies on me, and so I'm just got
I don't
into
think I even heard that part.
no, and it and then I just park it behind another car, and I'm like, "Shut up and lay down and
Yeah.
turn it off." And then the cops roll up.
that cop, I was surprised that he, knew where he was, because he was
Oh yeah, I made a lot of turns. I
He
made
was-
3 or 4 turns. I was surprised.
he was booking it for how I know booking it be nowadays. And so
You're just whipping
we-
around.
we pull over, the office, lights show up behind us and everything, and I'm just chilling, trying to pretend like I'm asleep, like a little brother should be and everything. But
No, the best part is because then he's like, "Driver, show me your hands." I was like, "Oh shit!"
right,
So I'm like, "All right." And then he walks up or whatever.
and unfortunately, after Kyle gives him his ID and everything, and he looks in and he sees the passenger and gets another, shines his light. I remember him probably taking a triple look and whatnot, going, "Was that a child?" Or trying to figure it.
Yeah, because he's like, "Where are you going?" or whatever.
Where are you
I'm
coming
just trying to
from?
get home. It's late at night, trying to get home.
And so I would assume that he probably asked about, he's like, "Hey,
Trying to get my little brother
You know,
home, officer.
yeah, probably what it was." He's like,
No, I definitely didn't say that.
something like of the sort. But he's like, I rose up, and the officer, sheriff, Mr. Daun, Brandon,
Hi.
You're like, I'm not driving.
I'm just having my brother try to get me home. And that's where I don't even know if he got.
Yeah, and then the car started up after that. So.
And we drove.
Yeah,
We drove.
I was like, so after that, it was like, okay, it was like, all right, go home. He's like, all right, your brother, like, he's like, because I know your brother, I'm not giving you a ticket or
Why didn't he know you?
Why did he know you?
He
He's
should have
like,
given you 2 tickets.
2 days, like, because I know your brother, you were definitely going to jail.
Right.
You were 12 by that point, so you had something.
Oh
Dang.
my God.
Wow.
He's like, just get Brandon home.
So-
We don't want to have to deal with
So I don't know if the
anything.
picture's in there, but mom had the picture out early last week, and that time that he would have remembered me from, I was a part of a sheriff camp for
Oh, scared straight thing?
more,
Scared
more,
That's what I would think it would be.
more or less, yes, a light duty scared straight, but more or
I
less.
think I had to go to that scared straight thing for shooting the BB guns.
I had to go to it twice.
They just sent everyone from
Yeah,
us
they're
to
just
do
like, they're like scared straight. It's like, huh?
That's nothing
So
like what real prison.
So that's where, like, most of them are all volunteer sheriff's deputies that are up there working with the kids and everything, and it's up
then
there
they took the
for,
parents away.
yeah.
No, they took the kids away from the parents.
Yeah, and then we're up there for 3 or 4 days for the weekend or so, doing different tasks and team strategies and trying to learn how to,
Be a criminal.
well, hopefully those who were criminal,
Like fieldcraft.
those who were real criminals knew how to group up and be criminals, and those who were like, oh, we're doing outdoor activities with the sheriffs, let's you know.
They're like, here's a toothbrush. You got 10 minutes to turn this into a weapon.
If it takes you that long, you're out.
Squid Games go.
For some, it was a camping adventure. For others, it was like, this is not any kind of bit of fun, because I feel like my age group that was up there, there's more goths, there was troublemakers, and so they were all having, we were forced to be in, uniform and everything, so
You were
those,
like in a jumpsuit?
camo pants and a t-shirt that,
Did they issue those to you?
oh yeah,
Okay, yeah, I didn't get that far into the
Did
program.
they wash it before they gave them to
I
you?
would hope not.
Oh.
He's like,
I want to know that it's really worth the punishment here.
It's a real punishment you're wearing.
I'm sure that the jumpsuits I have been in, I would hope have been washed, but I'm sure that they haven't been washed like I wash my clothes.
They're washed good. There's industrial wash machines. They're
Did they use soap?
Just hot water.
Yeah, I imagine.
probably cold water. No, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want to pay for the hot
All right,
that's
tell
for
us-
sure.
I was like, that was all my shit.
So-
Unless you want to know more shenanigans.
So that was his
Whatever.
senior year, more or less. He
I was like, there's a lot more.
he got away with
He
got-
He's like, you guys don't know stuff. That's fine.
a higher speed chase, and he had friends that decided to turn his car into a flipping demolition derby car. And
Did we talk about Flo slapping you? Did we ever
No,
figure
no.
out why that happened?
Oh, I definitely know
I
why it
know why
happened.
that
All right,
happened.
well, let's see why
No,
you
wait,
why
no.
you
Oh.
think it happened. Let me see
I
if
don't
I
know
know why
why.
I think it
I don't
happened.
know why it
I'll
happened,
tell
but I
you
just
what I
remember
was
there was
doing
a
when it
hand on your
happened.
face.
All
And
right,
it was
so
like a red hand.
You got a turkey?
He had a turd.
I'll just
It
tell you what I was
was,
doing.
it was
Things.
loud.
yeah.
I was on a ladder hanging
Wait,
out
let
lights.
him tell. I
No,
wanna
he's
Oh.
there. We're going like that.
I had no
I was
idea.
the person that was involved. We're gonna see.
get- Okay.
Did you
But I
hear it
think
from
it was-
outside?
I was outside.
And you heard it?
It was on the front porch.
And Sean
Smack
was
her
there?
across.
I
remember
saw it
Sean.
happen. I didn't know why it happened.
I heard it happen.
I
I saw the aftermath.
saw
of
it
it.
after.
Yeah, what were you doing? Were you downstairs or in your room or something?
Probably.
I don't know, in the living room. I don't know.
Probably in the living
I
room.
probably was like, ooh, what's happening?
I was messing
I found
around.
All right, so why did it happen there, Mom?
Yeah. Why did it happen?
What'd you
Mom?
do, Kyle?
Yeah, tell us what.
No,
you
I want you to, because I'll tell you what it was about.
So supposedly, you and Flo might have broken up, and then you were getting back together, and then Kimberly was at a party or some people's house with you and was snuggling up by you, and Flo found out about it.
Confirmed. That's
No!
that's confirmed. So there you go. That's pretty much what
It all works out.
And it all went down on the front porch. of
He
the
was,
house.
he was
Yeah.
snuggling up with his wife. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
And
there you
Flo
go.
came over and confronted you, or what?
Yeah, because it was like we broke up, but then
It was
she
not
wanted to get back
confirmed.
together or whatever, or some. I can't remember
That
exactly
was-
what it was, but that's what it. But then she slapped me, and then I think you said something to me. You were like,
Get out.
I
of
was
my
like,
house.
no, I was like, what did you do to her?
yeah.
And Sean was
Like-
laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, you all go home and you get in that car and you talk to that girl right now. I was just like, oh.
Not that her son was just assaulted by some stranger.
No, I was like, hit him again.
Maybe you slapped some sense into him.
I was just, and you just stood there with this grin on your face. Oh my gosh, that was so
That
loud.
probably pissed her off even more.
Oh, God.
I
She was
partied with all the big boys.
I was gonna say I left for the army, and you just like
Took his
you
spot.
did. They were like, oh, well, whatever. You just
I think
he's 4 years younger, whatever.
I think one time before you left and before you were done with Flo, you had taken me over
Done with Flo.
done with progressive. But
Flo
I
Progressive
remember going over
commercials.
to Flo's parents' house. I believe there was a loft or something and everything. And so I feel like they were wine connoisseurs.
Yeah.
So
They're Argentinians, weren't
Yeah.
they?
You just remember
I
all
mean,
the wine they
originally-
had.
I just remember little details of that because I only went over there once and it wasn't like I'd gotten acquainted like Kyle. He probably had a box of wine already.
It was boxes.
I don't know.
Only
Box
it was
wine.
the classiest month. That was a good month.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a good month.
right.
You could really taste the grapes in that month.
They're like 17-year-olds and they're in there just like slicing up cheese and like sampling.
No, I remember it was like, oh,
Swirling it around before
those Boone's Farms or
Oh wow.
that's everybody. That's like everybody.
That's
when they're-
every seventh grader's first.
Well, here we'll get a story from Mom. Did you ever? Well, how
When was your first Boone's Farm?
No, it's like
Never, apparently.
it's like what is it? It's I don't know. Like
A wine
really
cooler.
cheap one. Yeah. Like
When was
wine-
your first
it's
wine
like-
cooler
like
with
a
Dad?
wine
There you
cooler.
go, a B&J or whatever.
cheap wine.
A fuzzy navel.
Because what was the drinking age when you were?
18.
Was it 8? Like when
Oh,
did they
no.
change it to 21?
In 85, 1985.
Oh,
when I
for
was-
It's like a Supreme Court rule index over here too. He knows federal statutes.
Brandon, you need to go get a history degree, man.
Oh my God.
I know you're really good at building houses.
I'm the guy who doesn't drink much, but I always questioned because I was like, so my dad used to say, me and my roommates, we used to pay for our rent and everything with keggers. And I was like, how the hell did you buy beer? You weren't even 21. What in the world
Yeah,
is
I
going
never
on here?
understood that either.
And so
They must
I
have
didn't
known.
So I
realize
had
they were
to I had to do my little research for Idaho, and Idaho didn't become part of the 21 federal rating until 85.
Huh.
So Kyle
There we go.
could have been, probably getting beer at 3 years old if he would have been lucky.
No, because you still have to be 18.
Well, you never know.
Could have been so smart.
They're over there ordering you a beer while you're at the bar with them. Because back
You know
then,
what? Oh my gosh, that reminded me of
He's
something.
like, baby,
Okay, so
drink this beer.
you were a baby, and this is the stupidest thing.
and you brought
So
him to
we
the bar.
went to, somebody was having an event. I don't know what it was, but it was
Okay.
at, you know how they have clubs for older people, like
The
Bingo?
Elks Lodge.
the Elks Lodge or whatever. So these
Masonic.
They call that a friendship
Well,
club.
those are like,
Yeah.
the Masons are a fraternity.
So I don't know if it was like your grandparents, like the Callisons were having something there. And so we went, but we took you. And they wouldn't let us go in because you were a baby and not 21 or whatever it was.
Like you were gonna drink.
Like we were gonna give our child alcohol straight from the bar.
The
We brought
liquor
our
store in
own version.
Oklahoma?
We went to a liquor store in Oklahoma and we had Lily. This was 2016.
Yeah.
She's like 5 months old. And I like just want to go inside with Kyle because they were getting beer or something. And they're like, you can't have her in here. I'm like, so do you want me to leave her in the car while I come in?
You just prop her down outside the door and be like, no worries.
Be like,
They're
well,
like,
it's like, sorry that you took the riding horse away that used to be out here from the 90s, but dang it, I just want my history back.
Isn't that weird?
I think it's dumb when they're like, it's not like you're gonna. I can understand like maybe a 2-year-old because they're gonna go. They could.
We're
The
at
parent could not be
Oklahoma.
watching them and they like just go knock bottles and whatnot. But
Well,
you
they
gotta-
could do that in any store.
Yeah.
yeah.
Just have some common sense about things. Like,
crack the window, turn the AC on, and go in there. Get your business done in under 2 minutes.
We're at Oklahoma.
Stillwater.
on our route to,
Near Stillwater.
I think Justin with us, or
Yeah, they both were with. They
oh,
all. both
that's
of them were
right.
with
This
us,
wasn't
and I
the
didn't wanna
wedding.
be
This
alone.
was we were going to hang out with them for Calf Fry,
Mhm.
which was an awesome music
It was
festival.
near Oklahoma City. It was like west of Oklahoma City.
They should get on board with Cheyenne, Wyoming, and just have a drive-through one.
We have those.
Dude,
in
Louisiana
Col-
has
in
drive-through
Colorado.
daiquiris.
That doesn't seem right.
That's like bars with parking lots,
It's
A whole bar's not parking lot.
and so do the DUIs, right?
That's like you need to get your.
Get a DUI?
I was like, in Germany, you could go run through the McDonald's and
I
order,
remember you
and
telling
order
us.
a
I
beer,
remember you
right?
telling
I was
us
like,
that.
that's
I
pretty
think you have a
still want to
picture
try
of that.
McDonald's beer.
Well, in Blackfoot, I remember they had the drive-through. They have they still have the drive-through liquor store or beer
Is that
store.
where Paul would get his
Yeah.
lottery tickets?
Mhm.
Just
Lottery
so you
tickets
know,
and-
there's one of those in Nampa. You can drive through.
Yeah.
Order.
But did they give you a mixed drink with a straw?
No, it's like packaged. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
It's like a
yeah.
packaged
Yeah.
store.
Sealed
Well,
and
yeah,
all,
we
but-
got the drive-throughs in Lamar. And
Yeah.
but you can get a daiquiri to go.
that's
That's
Louisiana. You get your daiquiri,
And
they put
they-
the straw in that
Yeah,
sucker.
and it's like
I don't get that. That's weird.
16, 20,
And it's honestly, I don't think anyone cares that much. Like,
12,
Because
16.
they're like, oh, we'll give you a daiquiri, charge you $10. It's all watered
No.
down. They're like, it's really
It's
strawberry.
not
water.
watered
It's-
down,
it's
and it's
not. It's lit up.
$5
she
for
got
a
me
16
two
ounce.
32 ounce daiquiris by accident one time.
Well, yeah,
She
I
was like,
I'll
oh,
just
they'll
get a
be
medium.
watered down.
I'll just get a medium. And then she was like, oh, okay. Or I was just like, a medium will do. And I think she thought I said a medium or two. And then so she gave me two and she was like, well, I made a little extra. So I just gave you the larges. So, and I'm pregnant. So Kyle, I can't help him at all.
Crush these.
Yeah.
Can't let it go to
Me
waste.
and the kids partied that night.
Sounds like my trip to KFC earlier because I asked for a large root beer float and I got 2 of those and 2 mediums. And I
And
only
for
have
free,
and I
like,
only,
they
I only
don't
have
charge
3 people in the car.
They didn't charge you, right? That's how it was with these. I
Yeah,
was like, well,
I
I'm
paid-
not going to tell
I
them.
paid for my 2 larges because that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't you come here and have a root beer float?
Yeah.
Because they you didn't want me to bring all
You.
I drank my root beer float.
I was like, I didn't want you to bring all of them.
No, you're fine.
No, I wanted to be able to bring them all, but to have kids, it's
Celine's got school.
Yeah, she's got me tucked in.
I know, we're
So
Tori would get tired anyway because she's more pregnant than you.
yeah.
so let's hear
I was
stories
on a
from
couch
you,
and-
Cole.
Yeah, we got all the
What
way up to
stories?
Flo.
Well, we need
Yes,
to
your
hear
story.
Brandon. We need to hear
It's
Brandon's
been-
story.
I talk all the time.
Well, there's something about Brandon's lip. Right.
Yeah, that was my first grade year.
Oh yeah, Tendo.
Tendoid.
You remember your
And,
lip?
Oh, yeah. I ran into the
Ran down the
hallway into the dresser and
How about
shut my
this one?
teeth right
You both
there.
had the same.
How about
issue?
this one?
I don't know. I put it through right here.
Oh, here's a good one.
I remember a time when a tooth had to go into some milk because you slipped.
Oh,
and
yeah,
chipped
yeah,
your
that
tooth
front
on a
tooth,
metal bar. Why
Yeah.
is there no metal bars on your tubs anymore?
Oh,
That's
that's what I told.
Billy, well,
it's dangerous.
I was thinking about Billy Bob chipping his teeth, tripping over Lily.
Yeah, Lily
Whatever the
Lily
story
fell
was.
down. He tripped over Lily and
Well, at least those are baby
Our
teeth. His was an adult.
yeah.
Oh.
But that's what I
tough.
tell the kids, like, don't climb that.
Yeah, I was
You're
like-
gonna break your face.
Well,
It's
I
because
was like
of
in the
Kyle.
5th grade or something like that. Yeah.
I tell the kids that.
Emergency.
I feel like
Emergency
it was-
root canal.
Oh,
I feel like that was our first year in that house.
Yeah,
Because I don't think Nicole was born yet, honestly.
The Daun house?
See,
When
I
he chipped his tooth.
don't know. Like I was retarded though too because I was like they did the root canal and I was like I want to watch. And
Oh!
they gave me a mirror and I watched them do a root
Oh,
canal.
that's awesome.
It's crazy. I was like, that's stupid. Like when I get a shot, like, oh, you give me my flu shot, I watch it, or take blood, I watch the needle go in.
Oh,
It is like some people can't do it. And I'm gonna say she's
I don't
probably
wanna-
one of those.
I don't want to watch
For
on
some
this side.
reason,
I
I
wanna
can
watch
somewhat
this.
watch, but I can't administer. Like, I'm a pussy.
It's not gonna
You
hurt you.
feel it?
No,
like,
it's not
you
gonna
feel
hurt
it
you.
going in or
No, like,
something?
so Tori had to have
It's that
injections
empathy
and
thing.
everything. Like, mom's a witness to this. Like, I just, like, get, like, I could hold the needle and everything in my hand, but then, like, I can't fathom how to, like, inject it the proper way without, like, the
he was
technical.
worried he was gonna hurt her or something.
Yeah, just, like, the whole
And
technical
you're like, no,
fact.
just do this.
Yeah,
Stab her.
and
So
so
you-
I couldn't, like, mentally get my head into it.
But
But I
maybe
can,
there was somebody who didn't, like, not your wife.
maybe, and that's what I told her. I was like, if there's somebody that I didn't give a crap about, maybe I could jab them. But,
Oh,
you know,
Oh, you got that one. Do you have to leave a little bit of liquid in it?
Yeah.
just about a quarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Too full, you're
So the
pouring.
story I was thinking of is somebody that ended up having a doorknob
Oh,
on their
slapped in his face.
in their forehead.
And get it down to like the waterline.
When was that?
What was it? We were like playing hide and seek or something like that.
It was
Or tag or something, and what was it? You were hiding behind the door, or
Oh,
no? I was hiding behind the. I don't know, but there was a door, and he was like coming in, and I go pop, and it slaps him right in the eye, and it looked like Billy Buckner got hit in the eye with that baseball.
Oh no.
It was, or was it on his
right on
forehead?
the
Yeah, it was a
forehead,
forehead. It was
instantly.
huge.
I had a unicorn.
It was.
It was a
huge.
horn
That's
coming
a
out of
really
his head.
good sign, though. That means that the swelling went out and didn't stay internal in his body.
Yeah, but he had a horn.
It was blue.
That's
It was
awesome.
blue.
It
Like
Yeah.
that.
It was
Like
a-
instantaneous.
It was a rock, that's for sure.
I will
Did it
say that
hurt? Did you
you
cry?
got jacked up. Like I remember at the Daun house, we would
Jump.
what is it? Yeah, jump from the like my dad had built like these shelves as like
For
storage
all
things.
of mom's
But
holiday
you could-
stuff.
I was tall enough I could stand on the top stair, reach over, and then hang from the thing and then dangle over the stairs.
Concrete steps with carpet, thin carpet.
Yeah, and so
Right.
I would do that. I'd be like swing and move, kick the wall, whatever. I was like, Brandon, jump on my back.
Oh
He
shit.
goes like that, and you know he weighed whatever, like 50 pounds or whatever. I'm like 12. I don't know. Maybe
You were
like-
probably at least 14 at that
I don't know,
time.
something like that. But
You were in the middle
boom,
school.
slapped like he's on my back. I go on the stairs. He's on the stairs. Like, I fucked him up.
He felt bad. I know he felt bad because I was
Dude, like all the air went out of
I
you.
was gasping
Your
and rolling.
soul got sucked out of your body.
Yeah, it was. I still can remember it.
Yeah, but then it was like, where were we? I think we were. I can't remember where we were living, but it was like, Brandon, go get that squirrel out of the tree. He's like, gotcha.
So,
Climbs up this
so
tree.
the same
He's
house,
shaking this fucking tree.
same house,
The squirrel
same
comes
house.
jumping out, and I can't get it. I'm like, hey, come down. And were you pulling up? Somebody, yeah, pulling up. I'm like, hey, mom's coming. He's like, "Meow." Falls out of the tree like 20 feet in the air. Oh, yeah.
And then the
So-
story that was told about why
So
his arm
the
hurt.
whole details.
Yeah.
Let's. We got the rough draft of it. We'll give you the whole view.
Get the dates
So
sometime.
I ain't gonna give you the dates because I got that one, but I will say that we were still living at the Daun house.
That was a far
I-
walk then.
No, we
Wasn't really that far.
had gotten dropped off by mom because
Baseball. You were
I
playing ball.
was
Somebody was.
I was playing fast. I was
Were you?
playing pitching machine
Oh.
baseball. Kyle was left. I don't know where you had to run at the time, but you left Kyler to watch me. it had gotten done.
Mistake.
Super.
This is
responsible.
Alameda Park, Pocatello,
We can go past it.
just down from the Washington House and everything. There was a couple trees, and I don't know what my fascination was with the squirrels or anything. I guess I just wanted a pet that was a little bit more
I think
active.
that's what it was. Is like, let's catch a squirrel.
More active than the hamsters that I had already dealt with or something. But there were two squirrels that crawled up this tree, and it had low enough branches that Kyle was able to boost me up into the tree.
Let me help you.
And I left my, I had my, as cruel as it sounds, I left my bat down there for him to
Yeah, I was gonna get the squirrel when he got it out of the
get the
tree.
squirrel for me.
You want a squirrel cat?
For some reason, my raccoon squirrel hat. I get up to probably, this tree is probably this day, it was a tall tree. back
It was.
then.
You were up there too.
It had to have been at least a 40-foot tall tree and everything at the very tip. So I'm probably 30 feet up, and I know if I go any further,
You were up
it's
there.
getting real sway. And one of them had already jumped to another tree that was already. And so he's like, "Oh, just come down," and I'm like, "Oh
No, I was like, shake the tree, get the other one out.
And so I started shaking this tree, and the
The
squirrel
was like holding on forever.
it got stunned when it
Oh yeah, and then it fell, and I see it go. And it's like, and I couldn't get it, and then it ran off. I hit it, and then it was like,
and that's
it just,
like
shook a little bit, and then ran off.
I can almost picture it. So it's flying out of the tree. I'm trying to scurry down the tree as I know. I'm like, get him. And that's when he's like, I was like, oh, not yet, but I'm like, oh, mom's coming. I could see her car. And she was at Pine and the stop sign there. And I would assume that would be Wayne, because Washington didn't meet up with Alameda Park, so Wayne.
It's a block away.
And she was pulling up, and right as she's coming through the stop sign, I remember that I was at my last big branch, and that's still 10, 15 feet from the ground. And my foot slipped, and I landed right on my left wrist, and Kyle helped me up. He's like, he held me up, and I'm
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, more or less like, are you okay? Don't tell mom if you're hurt. Don't tell mom if you're hurt. And I'm like, I'm okay. And I think we conspired that we went, we got home, and she's like, oh, how's baseball? And I was like, oh, it's fine. And I think we got home, and that's when
it had a lump on your arm.
Yeah,
on your wrist.
and I think, but before you noticed the lump on my arm, and I was starting to really complain about it, I think Kyle and I were I told him, I was like, my wrist's really, really sore, it hurts bad, and he's like, well, you can't tell her what you did,
Climb a tree
and everything, and I
She
was
probably
like,
told us not to.
and I was like, well, the only thing I can think of is that I got hit with the baseball.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And so I conspired that I was pitching machine. So
He was going fast.
so he had, it was logical that my coach had no control over direction or whatever, but I claimed that I got hit with the baseball in the pitching machine. So then we go to this doctor, they split me up for the day, I think, and then we had to get the cast from the ISU sports med or something the next day or something like that. But they ended up going and asking my coach.
We went to the coach. What the heck?
Yeah,
I don't remember all that. I don't
Why
remember.
didn't you tell us?
I don't remember all that.
I didn't know that they went to the coach to find out what happened, but then it came out to be because the sports med doctor was like, this isn't a baseball ball injury. I'm 12. I'm not even 12. I'm probably
9.
maybe 10 at the most. Yeah. And he's like, this is not a baseball sports
So
injury.
they're going to worry about what's happening in your home life.
Yeah.
That's what I first
That-
thought. It was
that,
oh
and
no,
then
he's
so-
lying. Someone's lying.
So then they're like, well, he said it happened to baseball. So the next baseball time that, hey, what happened to Brandon and everything? Because he's got a broken wrist. Why didn't we get told about this or something? And that, the doctor more or less was like, we'll get the story out of him. And so I eventually I climbed a tree and I threw a squirrel out of the tree, and then I fell out of the tree.
This is a story.
the baseball thing seemed more real than the squirrel story to them, and so
Since then,
The
you
truth
have always,
didn't really make sense.
right.
since then, squirrels have been really afraid of him.
Well, that squirrel that danced in the road.
Yeah,
What's that story?
Oh, that was so funny.
that squirrel didn't know whether or not it wanted to play
It's-
Beat Frogger or not. That's what
It
it
saw you.
was.
It was like, oh, my relative was almost filled like you.
I've been told the stories from back then, and they're
Great grandpa.
My great grandpa said that he flew one time, and it was just not something he ever thought he was gonna do. That's kind of like Grandma Perry. She's never flown either. We should give her a try.
Has she really never been on a plane?
Deadly afraid of that.
Nicole, should we start with your perspective on the time Brandon was coming back from youth group? It was youth group or catechism?
Youth group, I
Okay.
think.
But
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
remember him coming home. All I remember is that he came home and he's bleeding, just bleeding, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What happened?"
we've got to go to intermission at this point. Now it's
2 hours on.
I'd love to do a cliffhanger on that one. But oh yeah, let's cliffhanger that one. All right.
Cliffhanger.
Brandon came home bleeding, and we'll be back. What's a good song for?
Now Psalm 41.
We'll do Psalm 41. Which song?
In too deep.
Okay, Too Deep. There it is.
Restroom.
No.
Parent.
Otherwise, like, you go piss in the washer, we're gonna wash
I'll piss in there.
Yeah, go down there and then to the left. There's 2 bathrooms, yeah.
I gotta go to the restroom.
That's what
Or we just leave that running there.
Oh yeah, that is still running.
Can you pause it, or does that
Can
not
you?
work?
I was gonna say, can you keep telling the story? Can you tell a different story? Okay. I bet. Yeah, you two can fill the airtime for sure. There's got to be another story.
Brandon liked rodents.
Oh, he did.
I don't remember a whole lot, and he probably shouldn't say a whole lot, because I just remember having those hamsters, and they were never in the cage. We always were chasing them around. Did you ever find did they?
And
Die.
we would put big like books
On the
on top
cage.
cages so they couldn't get out, but they were always out of the cages in his drawers. Not in his drawers, but
They were in drawers, yeah.
in his dresser.
They didn't
Not
have
your
drawers.
pants, though.
Just not those drawers.
And then the time that
I thought that we lost them for good.
he
Did they ever get out and have babies or anything?
No, I never had double.
That's actually pretty fortunate.
Just baby
Maybe.
hamsters running around.
Just imagine having a bunch of hamsters in the walls,
probably.
Wasn't there a squirrel that got in the walls or something one time?
That was at my work.
Oh, was it at your work?
Work that was a mouse.
Oh, no.
That's like the Borrowers. We used to watch that all the
Right.
time.
Oh yeah.
We still have it. We found it in the VHSs we got.
So, Brandon, had a bird one time, and it was in his backpack,
Are we back on?
but I didn't
Just the video.
know that, and I kept telling him to clean his room because it
Hold on.
smelled bad, and I finally decided I'm gonna look in his backpack. This is terrible, and there was a dead bird in there.
You gotta say that part of the story again. Keep the recording on.
You know what bag it was? It was a reading book bag.
So you just found a bird.
It was in the playground. I watched it all day.
Like it couldn't fly.
Mm-hmm.
And so before you came home, you were just like, I'm gonna get this bird.
I had planned on it from lunch. I was like, if that bird's still out here after school and everything, then I'm gonna try to take it home and maybe
Nurse it back to health.
maybe
But then
I,
you forgot about it in your backpack, or what?
no, what did I forgot about? I had
It didn't make the trip home.
no, it made it home. It was a loud little bird, obviously, and so I wasn't allowed. I didn't want to have to deal with the wrath of that and
He's
everything
smacking your backpack.
for a squeaking, squawking bird. But no, it was squeaking and squawking, and I'm not sure. It more or less, knowing cognitively as an adult what might have happened, but I think it probably got smothered because I had it somewhat propped, with the bag open so it could go into the bag as like a little shelter because I didn't have anything else really, and I couldn't go hunting for things. I was probably only like maybe 8, 9 years old, if that. It was first or second grade, right when you were born. So, but I had always, I don't know when or why, or where, but I'd always thought that I was going to always try to take care of animals for some reason back when I was real little. I still try to take care of animals, but
You
I
just
don't
took
know why that dog
But you just
today.
had a dog today that you're like looking for the owner.
yeah, it turned out real good actually.
Oh,
That
you
dog
found
at
the
my
owner?
house?
No,
You
I
didn't find
wouldn't
the
do
owner?
that. I would not do that to myself.
Oh!
I might do it to you, but I would not do that to myself. So I found out that we took him over to the pet care clinic in Kuna, and luckily enough, he had a chip.
Nice.
His name rhymes with Riker because I was just joking about, man, he should have been at Riker's Island, but gosh, what was his name? But he's 8 years old. He's an 8-year-old dog, and
Oh.
we sat at the vet for them to show up for his owner or someone show up, and their son that came to get him, or the owner, or however he be the keeper of that dog, didn't seem very enthused or like he was really much of a like, oh great, I gotta grab the dog for my parents type kind of deal. Not like he was, oh my.
Was he older?
Yeah, he was a teenager.
Oh,
At
that's
least
probably why.
a teenager, maybe early 20 is what I would assume.
But you found the owner.
Yeah, I got
Where do they
lucky.
live?
They didn't give me an address, but I would assume somewhere over by Crimson Point Elementary. Luckily enough, they had him. So when they scanned him, they said that sometimes they can scan him, but if they're not in their system, then all they can do is call. And then if the person who found them is willing to hold on to them until they, get contacted or whatnot, because they can't technically liable to hold on to stray dog or a lost dog. So therefore it would go to the Humane Society. As theirs. But we got lucky that it was the dog was in their system, and supposedly he had a sister as well. But he was
Yeah, I
8.
felt that.
That was not the humorous, that was the other one.
Is that a foot or?
No, that was my knee. That was all my knee.
But yeah, he had a 6-year-old sister as well. That I didn't get that name, but yeah.
Oh, she probably knows Selena.
Well, we told Selena, we're like, oh, he's probably, a distant relative to Hazley for all we know. But
He looks similar.
so Bree was stocky. She was an English chocolate. So Hazley's an American lab, and Bree was English lab.
They're
and I
fatter
think-
over there.
They're more short, stocky, bullheaded, more built for bird and waterfowl. Have a big rudder, have that big tail rudder. American labs are more built for speed, endurance, and like dock jumping agility.
Well, I'm glad that,
That you don't have another one there yet.
you're lucky.
Well, I wouldn't do that to you. If I was going to do that to you, I'd tell you that Hazley was pregnant. That's what I'd do. If I was wanting to have more dogs.
I thought that was impossible.
Yeah, mom's like,
No, Hazley's not. Hazley's
yo, it looks like I'm gonna be making some money.
for that purpose.
So Brandon was coming back from youth group.
He got back.
Well,
He was out,
Yeah,
huh?
he was back. All right, and then Brandon said
He
the
just
story.
shows up with blood all over the place.
Cole's 7, 8 years old.
Oh, like, what the heck?
You're the one who answered the door, right?
I was 14.
I think he just came in.
I probably came in.
Like, why would you do that?
It might have been Deadbolt too. At that time it was dark. It was after 8:30 at
We
night.
lock our doors because
He's
people get.
it's gotta escape
Jumped.
from youth group.
right?
They tried to beat the sin out of me, but it didn't.
It was a youth group, yeah. It was a youth group.
It wasn't our youth group. He was a friend to theirs.
Yeah.
It was.
don't kill me today.
Wrong too?
Yes.
Jesus, take the
And I got stuck. That's when candy takes you out.
So if you remember, Kyle, if you
I
remember,
was there.
It was in an alley downtown.
yeah, but well, it was over by ISU.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's what I thought.
But if you remember, down at the corner of the road, Luke Genta, my friend Luke, he lived there. His mom was a dog groomer. His dad was a mechanic.
Oh,
Or
dog groomer.
his-
I thought she was a
His
hairdresser.
she is a hairdresser of a sort, just for four-legged friends.
Yeah.
And his stepdad at the time was a mechanic, but he had an older sister named Nicole as well. Nikki. I think she was a year older than me or so. And then him and my buddy Glenn were the same age,
Oh.
and they were best friends. They lived, right next to each other more or less. But Luke and Nikki went to this
Oh, I remember.
Church of Rock in Pocatello, and it was a youth group that was held on Wednesday evenings at the time.
I do remember that part.
That
Middle was Wednesday?
I remember that. It was like a middle, I remember that.
if you would be dropped off by your parents or so, and they would give you a ride home at least.
I dropped you off that place?
No, his mom would drop us off.
But then they had like a van.
Yeah, that they would drop us off because of being at night. It would be 8:30 at night. They would escort us home for those. They'd have a couple different vans, or people that had their parents drop them off would be able to get picked up. But if you didn't have,
Did the van have windows?
if you didn't have the yes,
Were there?
yes, it wasn't solid. So with that. This youth group was, I would say, it was probably a start. They were starting up for a sense of their group and their church organization, I would assume, because nowadays you would see that they're looking back and hearing on it. You'd be like, there is no real organization with like trying to separate kids and age and things like that to this organization that's trying to, talk about Christ and talk about being able to, bond and be able to
Certain age at the certain age.
and grow and be a teenager and everything. And then there was multi schools, so everybody was from all sorts of different schools, and then there were some that would mingle within school to school. So I had a friend who I went to school with, but she had dated another kid from one of the other junior highs, and they were off, not dating or so. And I was talking to her in the van or in the group or whatnot, and he had gotten jealous, whatever the deal be. He claimed to be in a so-called Jokers gang out of their little group. And
They're like the Jolos.
kind of, I would assume probably is what it would probably flow with back then.
14-year-olds in
Yeah, so
Pocatello.
for
Insane Clown Posse
Yeah,
fans,
for the time frame, they were probably trying to flow with that same theme. There was 3 of them. There's probably 4 of them total and everything, if I remember right. But 2 of them went to my junior high. Other 2 went to another junior high, and more or less conspired the whole time that the youth group was going on that night. Conspired that they knew that there was like a 10 to 15 minute window before we loaded up in the vans to get transported. That just them trying to get everybody situated and who was driving who, where routes type whatever, I would assume. And we're in the alleyway and everybody's just kind of chatting, and all of a sudden somebody comes up behind me and wraps my arms up behind my back, and I trying to wiggle and get out of my restraint, and I end up, as I'm trying to wiggle and whatnot, I get hit, and then I end up getting like swung into the corner of the brick wall of the building that we were by. And I don't remember vaguely like if they had tried to stab me or if they just had a knife and started cutting up my leather coat or what it was, but I had a nice leather coat that was just got me for the school year, and it was all slashed up and gash on my head. And Luke, like I was obviously unconscious for a minute or so. Luke got me up and got me over to the van, got me loaded into the van, into the back of the van, away from everybody. And when I got
the car, shoddy.
they dropped. I think they dropped Luke off first, and then they dropped me off. And after they dropped me off, I think that's when some girls in the van had told the van driver that I had gotten hurt and none of the people at the actual church had known about it until the van driver got back to relay. Cell phones were a hit and miss for everybody in their commute. But my mom, I walk in the door and I've got blood coming down the side of my back. I didn't even know.
Like a gash?
I didn't know how bad it was because I didn't look in a mirror or anything. I was just like, okay, well, I'm here and
I'm awake.
I'm gonna get home. And
I think I told Mom.
Yeah.
Brandon's bleeding.
And she just rushed me to Portneuf to the hospital and everything. And then that's when they asked, like, she's like, what happened? And I was like, I got beat up. I don't know. But
I was just in church.
I was in church and got jumped by some jokers. I'm like, what?
Right. But yeah, Cody Breen, Levi Martinez, Christopher, man, I can't remember his last name, but those are
You don't have a fucking list of you.
those are the
That's the order they go in.
those are the three that I can at least remember fully that were involved with the court situation.
Did they ever go back to church?
No, they were banned from there. They were banned.
They needed church, but
Jesus doesn't like those
They
guys.
were banned. Well,
They're School of Rock.
yeah, right.
Church of Rock.
Excommunicated.
Yeah, they were excommunicated at least out of that one for sure. No, surprisingly, to speak about Cody Breen, I started mowing lawns in Pocatello in 2008 with an old high school buddy. And surprisingly, I ended up mowing I mowed Cody Breen and his
Mowed him over?
mowed his girlfriend and his or wife's lawn back then. And from what he was as this wannabe gangster joker thug little kid to I saw him in a cowboy hat and Wrangler pants in 2008 was like, is this really the kid that thought he could
it was okay to just beat
work
up
me over?
people after church.
So it was,
I guess he got into the right church.
he did. He must have went
Cowboy
to
church.
the Daun Ranch.
I went to the Daun Ranch.
Yeah.
I went to the Cowboy church.
But no, so that would be that situation of blood, me coming home.
We were at the ER forever, it seemed like.
Well, that's because they bring a police
not just
officer up
that
there,
time.
and yeah,
Oh,
right.
they all run together, maybe.
They almost do because it was probably about a year later that Dad wasn't married yet, and I was sent over to stay at Dad's house because I was having some behavior situations, and
Were you still home at that time?
yeah, probably, but able to run around and be a muck.
Because it would have been 2002.
I was 15.
2001.
Yeah, he was over in.
I was gone.
Yeah, he was already. This is when probably just after Dad had already said his words back when he went to boot camp. after
He
boot
wasn't
camp and
married
everything.
to Mercy, but
And you're not
was
saying,
dating
he lived in a lot of different places.
So this house is the old townhouse before he was married. So he bought that house in '99.
her. He
The
was
old
there.
townhouse,
He
what are
was
you
there
talking
for
about?
20 years.
Oh, the one on Greeley Street or whatever?
Yep.
How much do you pay for it?
You don't want to know because I know what he came out of it at.
He must have told you why he came out.
Well,
as
he
much
bought that
ahead.
thing, he must have bought that thing in like the 90s and he
90s.
sat on it for like 20 something years.
90,000?
Well, and he did some stuff to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he probably sold it for like 2 or whatever,
No,
at least.
Did
No.
he still have blue carpet when he left?
No, okay, never mind then.
there was no other updates other than the 20-year update that you remember when it first was purchased. So it was still like,
The blue carpet and just the paint?
and well, all
No,
the,
they
all the
redid the
sheetrock.
kitchen.
Yeah, they redid the kitchen and everything, hardwood floor and all that, and
He
counters,
like the whole kitchen.
Yeah. cabinets, counters, all that. Yeah, I would probably say for the time frame that he did it at, he probably put $40,000 to $60,000 of.
I will say that
Probably.
place was a shithole when he bought it and he actually put stuff into it.
Yeah, like the house was built in 1918 probably, and
We drove past it. It doesn't look.
no, it's not. And they, and you can never do, you can only hope when you sell a home that you put a lot of work into that the people that get it take or value your investment just as much as you. And
It's never gonna happen.
and it is sad to say that that's just never going to happen. So when they drive by that memory and they see it, it sucks, and it sucks for some of us who are like, hey, we know what went on, or we know how much work went into it. And then you see the outside and you're like, well, if the outside is this way,
I don't even want to.
how do I want to judge the inside? So
Why did you go? You went to Dad's because you had behavior issues, and then you went to.
so I
What
had
did-
back to that, yeah.
What
So
were you doing there?
Mom had me go there because I was having behavior issues.
It was after the fireworks
Yes.
situation. That was it.
It was.
What's
So-
a fireworks
so-
situation?
So I had some friends come over, and I don't know how we got there. I think one of their parents, it probably was Nate's dad for all I know, but
Probably.
we got taken up to Fort Hall to buy fireworks. And so there were plenty of people, plenty of us that had bought a couple illegal fireworks and things like that. But
Is it kind of like all the good fireworks are on the res?
oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, anywhere for Idaho, it's
Like how we go to Wyoming.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what I got in trouble with wasn't even an illegal item. It was just the manner of how it went and was projected. But
Good night.
we had been blowing things up. We had been blowing food and all sorts of crap up at the Washington house. I have no idea where you and where mom were. I know where Kyle was. He was over blowing stuff up too. That's why I was wanting to blow stuff
You know,
up.
I want to be just like my big brother.
Right. And I had a buddy who I didn't know how to
I
do
don't
it,
think
but
he's blowing stuff up yet.
he knew how to make some pretty nice cratered, take a whistling Pete and make a bomb out of it type deal. And I was impressed with that. So,
I'm gonna try.
and I had water dynamite, so I was blowing little things up too. But obviously, we blew up the whole flipping refrigerator, and Mom was from one side.
Go to your dad's.
One side of the neighborhood to the next side. And and he wasn't impressed because there's probably been plenty of times that he had probably helped assist purchase food for feeding Kyle's friends and all of us. But
Are they really considered my friends if I leave after that and they keep coming by?
No, they ate the food before you left.
right,
They ate the
they got
But
it. You kept feeding them.
it was like,
Housing
it was
them.
like a mouse.
you had a bunch of feral cats coming by and you kept feeding them, being like, why did they keep coming
Put
by?
the tuna can out. Wonder what's going on here.
It's like, why did they keep coming back to this house?
Oh man.
Keep leaving this door open with food and they won't stay out.
I ran a homeless shelter.
Right. Yeah. Non-profit.
You ran a halfway house.
I never got paid though. It was a homeless shelter.
Right. But I got more or less told that you're going to stay with your dad at that point, and he was not a happy camper with that one because that probably was impeding on him and his newfound girlfriend at the time. But
was she there?
no,
Oh.
no.
Maybe he had.
There's a few different. Yeah, he had a few girlfriends, and I impeded on one of them. That was in memory for me.
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Let's-
So
Like, that's actually sort of weird because didn't what's his face Greg die in like 2000?
yeah,
I remember getting ready to go to basic training. I was like, oh, this is Marcy, my girlfriend. I'm like, thinking about it now, I'm like, that's pretty quick. That's like four months after he died.
He
Or
died in
something.
like June.
June?
mm-hmm.
Was it June?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I went to the army in August.
Well, and she had seen it coming for a while.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
No,
but
she-
she's just like
Popped up
married
out of
dad
nowhere.
right or get a relationship with dad right away.
Well,
Maybe they were
that's
just
where-
friendly.
I see my grandpa flew to Arkansas a month and a half after my grandma died, so he could go on a date.
Mhm.
But
And
although it is different for men. Men
Some
remarry
people's-
pretty fast.
Some people's grieve and coping ways are different, and I don't think he was grieving, but he was in a grieve of a sense because he didn't have what he used to have, and then what he could have was now available
Why'd you go to the ER?
because he threw me across the room and
What'd you hit?
landed on my face.
Oh, when you were living there?
Hmm. He got ticked off at me because he had a phone up in that upstairs room where the two beds were.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I can't, no,
Collect.
right, I was calling Kyle Collect.
Germany, yeah.
Again?
Bro, collect.
I was asking for 411.
Country code.
So I don't remember if he had been yelling at me about the whole situation of why I'm there and everything, but I was sent up to my room and I was supposed to go to bed. And I was obviously not wanting to be there. So I called mom and was trying to be quiet, obviously, because I knew that I was probably going to get my ass beat for even calling my mom. And it did, you know. I didn't get my ass beat, but mom heard it happen over the phone. So he ripped the phone out of my hands, and I was on one bed and I was supposed to be on, you know, my bed was the other bed, and ripped the phone out of my hands and grabbed me by my arm and tossed me from the bed, and
So
I
you were good?
more or less to my bed, and you know,
A few bumps in between on the floor
right.
So that was just you and him living there?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
for a day.
It was a couple of days.
Lasted one day.
He took me to school for like 2 or 3 days because then by the time so I call mom and she says, you got to stay there. You know, you're not going to do this in my house. And begging, pleading. Then she hears that. Then she doesn't hear from me until like the next day, and I'm at school and I'm begging and pleading. I'm like, hey, I do not want to go back home to my dad's. I'm telling you, go back, it'll be fine. Go back, it'll be fine. And I think it was the second day that I came to school and everything, and I ended up having another bloody nose at school. And then mom was the emergency contact for Hawthorne, and she comes and she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, told you I had a bloody nose 3 days ago and whatnot. So
You've been bleeding for 3 days.
we went to the doctor and she requested a CAT scan.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say she requested a pad.
No, she
I'm all out of bed.
Bloody nose.
you had hoped that she might have upgraded to maybe a Kleenex box in the car by that time, but
It never depends.
I need a wet wipe.
Fair is square.
But that was, I don't know if I've had any other CAT scans, but that's the,
I feel like I remember a cat.
Tori and I had asked, because I brought up how Kyle has mentioned, and I don't really think about how much I do cognitively remember of certain areas or things or times and whatnot, but Tori was asking, she's like, have you ever had a brain scan? And I was like, well, not like for anything recent, but you know, And so is that the only one that I had ever had? I thought I told her maybe 2, because obviously nowadays you do a brain scan, they could probably determine a lot of different
Trauma.
well, not just that, but like pinpoint how I'm able to remember so much of certain things, but then my learning abilities of like reading, spelling, and things like that
Can't
struggle,
remember that.
and
Well, you can like different processing.
They do that for the military. They'll do an initial baseline scan, and then when you deploy and experience a bunch of traumatic events, they'll rescan it so then they can determine what your TBI is.
What is
Traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
Injury.
What
remember
year was
when-
it?
Oh, I was like, I remember one time we were playing football up at Highland, caught the ball, and then next thing I remember is walking to Sean's house. I got like, I don't know.
Concussion?
Yeah, he was like, I caught the ball, and then I was running, and then I guess they tackled me, and he's like, yeah, I saw you bouncing off the lockers, and then I remember like waking up, walking to his house, and then I remember remember eating like a ham sandwich at his house.
Do you remember parts of the concussion you had at a daycare?
Yeah,
You
because we
were
were like playing on a car or something, and then slipped on a car and got my head cut open in the back on a brick wall.
Who has a old beat up steel car in the
80s
playground?
were wild, man.
And who puts their children in a daycare that has a beat up old?
Why did you put him in a
Super neglectful parent.
You're gonna take
What was that?
Super neglectful parents.
Like what?
Well, that was one time she took me to daycare, and she's like, be quiet, be quiet. I shut up, and then it was like, I'm like, and she like has to take the bus to go to like to work or whatever, and she like goes past the daycare, and I was like told to shut up. I'm sitting there. She pulls in the thing. I was like, are you gonna drop me off? She's like, ah! And I just sat in the back and shut my mouth.
You're going to work with
Oh my gosh! And you know when I got back to the parking lot,
The
bus-
bus is pulling away.
the bus because I barely ever got there right on. I mean, they were
was
always
waiting
waiting
for
for me
you?
all the time.
Always
So
waiting
this-
for you. Just knew it was you.
And so this was extra like. And so I get out of the car and I'm running, and he pulls up a little further, and I'm just like, ah!
We're just
Stops,
teasing you at
pulls
the
up
door.
more, and I get on, and they thought it was funny. I'm like, yeah, I almost left my child in the car all day.
I could have brought him here to this nuclear waste plant if you like.
He would have found a way out.
He would have found a way out.
We gotta wake up in 4 hours. I just realized.
I
You
wanna
know what
take
you
a
do?
story from
You just keep talking and
Just power
just
through.
eat it. Just eat it. Be like,
Start the next episode of Squid Game and
there you go.
whatever.
I want to hear
Sleep on
some
the plane.
stories from Nicole, some memories she has.
I remember when Kimberly wrecked the car.
Oh, that was scary.
It was. And the police came to the door and like knocked on the door and told us what happened. We didn't know a lot. They didn't tell us a whole lot, but we jumped in the car and Tony was at the house. And we jumped in the car and I remember we drove. I fell asleep and then we got to where she wrecked the car and I saw the car. It was upside down in the median, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we were there, but
the ambulance
they
was
had already
already there.
gone.
Mm.
Yeah, she already went to the hospital, and then I don't remember.
We get to the-
I had to pee so bad.
We got to the emergency room
Yeah.
and she's in there. She's not yelling, but she's telling them, "Do not cut these jeans off. Do not cut these
They were like
jeans
buckle
off." But I'm
jeans
just
or
like,
something.
let
It
him
was like her
cut
favorite pair of pants.
Let him cut them off.
So I just spent $170 on these, I swear, do not touch them.
I remember to turn around on the freeway, we used the authorized personnel
Yeah.
only, and I was like, "Oh, we're not supposed to be here." That was really scary, but yeah.
Do you remember that time when that mean man came to the door?
Oh, from the neighbor
At your party?
behind the
At your little girl party?
Yeah.
Because I have the boombox playing still?
Yeah. Did Amanda open the door?
No.
I think it was.
Amanda was
Oh,
there.
yeah, Amanda was there. I think she opened the door and this man just
Going off.
went off with horrid language, and
There's like preschoolers partying.
I mean, and they're all like, you were watching a movie, and
Was that after I left?
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's probably across the street. Never.
He was right behind us.
Oh, behind us.
Yeah, with his dog
And it
and
wasn't
Cassie would
like-
always bark at that fence and everything.
it wasn't like we did it on purpose, but we had a little birthday party
It was like
thing, and they were
kindergarten,
doing
I
stuff
guess.
outside first.
Yeah.
I don't know, playing
Yeah.
in a water pool or something, and then came in and
Like
Amanda was
Julia
helping do their
Yeah.
nails, and we put a movie on for them, and this crazy lunatic. I just got back from the hospital. I'm like,
we don't have music playing. What are you
That-
talking
that-
I kept saying, there's no music, there's no music, there's a television
There was
on.
music up in Nicole's room.
And I'm like,
playing, so.
these are,
Out
look
the
at
window.
anyway. And then
Yeah,
the
the
police,
window open.
then the police show up.
Yeah. That's when I got the police called on
You did get the police called on you.
me.
It was actually your DJ. The DJ got your police called on
You were
you.
playing like some Radio Disney.
Right,
Up in
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
the stupidest
Now,
thing.
now volume 4.
I remember that TV that had the little VCR thing built into it, and I loved that.
Mm. I remember
Um,
Kyle's tiny Magnavox.
What's that?
His
A
little
TV with
his little TV that he had his PlayStation 1 with.
Yeah. Not even PlayStation 1, PlayStation. The original.
PlayStation.
I remember having to buy that myself.
Oh. Wow.
And you know where I get the dark? You know where I get the dark room from? Him. His senior and junior year in the house on Daun, that basement room was just a dungeon for him. He played Resident Evil like
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't paint
mad.
walls or anything like that.
Oh man, that basement.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
My
it was
only
just
memory
a
from
dark
that
wood
basement
wood
is-
paneled wall room or something.
Like I
It was
remember
like a
playing
bathroom too.
like
Yeah.
Wolfenstein. That was
Oh,
crazy.
Wolf 3D.
Like yeah, like
Wolfenstein.
in like
Yeah, I grew up
90s,
on
and
that.
then
Doom. Did
What-
you play Doom?
I played Doom, and then on PlayStation I got Resident Evil, and that thing I was like so creeped out. I remember playing Resident Evil, and I was like, holy crap!
It was a turn of the times for gaming
Graphics
and
are crap.
gaming.
Did you have Spyro?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I played that with Brayden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I like Spyro.
Little
It's
dragon.
the dragon game.
Mm-mm. Oh, okay.
Some roommates played that more. But yeah.
The Dion house of memory. I remember you
Oh,
falling off
Twisted
the
Metal. That was a
you
good
falling
one,
off
too.
the trampoline.
Mm,
I fell off the trampoline.
Yeah, we
mm.
just set it up, and I was so excited to jump on it, and then you fell off and ruined the day.
Was I hurt?
Just like when Kyle engaged Kimberly and ruined the day because she was crying happy tears all day.
Or you remember the time that Mom ate a poppy seed muffin?
Yes, that had not
That-
poppy seeds anymore.
That was extra poppy. Yeah, it was
You
extra
went to
ant
sleep,
filled.
put your muffin on the ground, went to sleep, and thought it would be fine in a basement on the floor.
In the winter.
When did you take?
And then
bite?
took a
Those
bite of it?
ton of ants.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh,
I also remember in that basement never been able to find a binky. And you told me that, and apparently Cassie
remember
ate
that?
them.
Yeah, and Cassie.
Cassie used to like pinkies.
She would eat the rubber off my binkies.
Mhm.
How do you remember that?
I was like
So because
4.
I sucked on those things till I was 7.
You see my taste it.
I was a kid from Ephraim's family. I'm running around.
You're like, what are you talking about? I have it on my lighter leash right now.
Yeah.
She's like, don't get me started. I'm gonna start fucking.
Oh, I remember cutting my hair. I cut my hair and I put it under the rug in the hallway.
How old are you with that?
Probably 4.
I don't know.
3 or 4.
And you cut your Barbie's hair.
I didn't cut those. I thought
She
they'd grow
did
back.
that. She did that a lot at the Washington house.
That I could
Yes, you
style it.
Yeah.
And it was stylish.
We got me those kitty cats, my twin kitty cats, and I stroll them around in my baby stroller.
half the time they'd fall asleep in a Tupperware bowl.
Sunny loved
There's a
that.
picture of that.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the pictures had a cat in the bowl.
I watched them
She
sing
was getting ready to cook it.
and clip their nails and clean their ears.
So did it calm down after I left, or did it stay the same?
It was.
For
No, there was
craziness?
Brandon. It
Well,
calmed down
it
after
became-
Brandon.
Brandon had big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
Literally and figuratively.
right. So I made the fun.
It's still.
I made the fun continue, but
Like, had
then,
to move
but then
300 miles
the
away.
image,
No.
the image was of Kyle was just Kyle's friends there, because then it just made it like Kyle was not gone, because they were still
They lived with
they were
us.
still doing what Kyle was doing when he lived
They
there.
didn't grow up.
They didn't grow up,
Mhm.
and then I was able to
Take them.
weasel my way into being their little, I don't know, mascot.
Yeah.
And I was an accomplice, or a sleeping accomplice to a few different crimes that they committed.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about this.
And I will say that I know that there are things that I know I should not do, but I wish they would have taught me the things that I got in trouble for myself,
Yeah.
because I might not have done them. But yeah,
And
I-
tell us a happy story about your dad. That you all.
We
Recent?
always swam. He always took us. Well,
Swam.
me. He always took me swimming at that apartment
Yeah, on bench.
bench. That's what it was. And I,
Oh,
one
over by
thing-
Highland?
Yeah, I remember the thing that I remember most was that it like had a huge ceiling in the swimming pool area. And then there was like a party room on and a big window, so you could look down and
Football
see
table
and you could see the
Yeah, I know.
swimming
We break
pool.
into his apartment.
And every time he
Mario.
went swimming, he had the curly hair, so he had special Paul Mitchell shampoo and conditioner, and I can remember the smell
It's like, but that was
Yeah,
soon.
that stuff's good
of
stuff.
it. Yeah,
Wow.
and he would put conditioner in his hair before he swam, so that the chlorine didn't dry out his curls.
Yeah, because
And he put it in mine too.
when you
'cause I had
when you
curls, too.
spend $100 on your hairdo, you,
Do you remember that your dad, the Christmas tree that he had at that apartment, that he kept it decorated the whole time and just put it in another room?
yeah, with a garbage bag over it. Yeah.
That's so smart.
It's like, it's Christmas,
I wonder
in
if
the,
he has
it's
the
Christmas in the back room.
I wonder if you had the same presents under them.
Just re-wrapped them.
Let's see.
Do you remember when he moved that one girlfriend in and her kids?
Oh
And they
yeah.
spilled some kind of colored.
And he moved him right out.
What, to that apartment, that bench apartment?
Right.
They
Is that what it
spilled-
was?
They spilled something on the carpet, and he called and he was like, "Wow!" And he said she's moving out. I'm like,
Yep. I remember that girlfriend. Don't worry.
You can stay,
I
but
don't
they
know
gotta
that
go.
girl- I don't know that. I don't know
Right
that.
here.
I don't know that girlfriend's name, but I remember that girlfriend.
and then
It was interesting with that girlfriend, because I mentioned this to her on the way home from the funeral the other night, but he had that girlfriend, and she had 3 young children. One was like barely probably 6 months old. The other one was a year and a half maybe, and the other one was maybe barely just younger than you. And I knew that irked you, but I remember her parents, or she lived over by Alameda Park, and I remember seeing this truck there.
Oh, we would
And
drive by.
I went, we did used to drive by, but we lived there. So,
Well, we would be driving
Right.
and we would be like, "There's
Yeah.
Dad."
but I went and rode my bike over there one time, and I ended up going up to the door and knocked on it and said, "Hey, my dad's truck's here." And they invited me in,
What?
and then
Like, was he there?
yeah, oh yeah, he was
Come
there.
on in, come on.
He wasn't. He was not.
Oh, he wasn't
He was there. He was
Oh.
not very welcoming for me to be there.
Oh, he wasn't like, come on in.
No, the people whomever, I'm assuming it was probably her parents' home or
Oh,
something.
damn.
And he
He
was
didn't
not.
mention the fact that he had another family.
He didn't mention the fact that he probably had a degenerate as a girlfriend. That's
Yeah.
probably what he didn't mention is that he was trying to fulfill needs and his degenerate girlfriend did not need to be known about.
Because the rest of the story is,
I don't know.
You knew her.
No, I hope
I
not.
was a caseworker
Accuse you.
at the homeless shelter, and my clients were families or single females. And a female client that I had that was at the shelter with her children, I had an appointment with her one day, and she said, "So my sister is dating your ex-husband." And I said, "What?" And I knew the history of her and that her father was a sex offender and had been incarcerated.
Oh,
And
man.
I lost my mind. And I called your dad and I'm like, he's like, "You don't need to know who I'm dating." I'm like, when it's something like this and it affects our kids, yes, indeed. And so,
Well, good thing they spilled something.
what?
Good thing they spilled something on his floor.
I don't know how he could handle them in general, because I could say that we got harped on for being messy. I don't know how he handled them, because when I saw them and the children, I understand babies are messy, don't get me wrong, but that guy, I don't think he could have handled a baby being messy. But that would be the only time.
What disturbed me the most about that is when I called your dad and was so livid.
That he didn't play it off like you should have a problem?
I'm like, "Do you even know this?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Just nonchalantly, yeah, that's his history.
I'm like, "Is he in that house? Where is he now?"
And this is 1999. Easy.
Well, that's not a happy story.
No, but that's what I
Where
was
was
just
the
saying.
happy story?
I don't know, I was just
The
saying.
swimming.
Oh,
Swimming part.
swimming.
Yeah.
That's where she's at.
But that for some reason reminded me of another story of you in a car in high school and getting in trouble with somebody riding on the hood of your car as you drove around all over the place.
It wasn't all over the place. It was just the ISU campus.
Weird how that. Mine was in the Fred Meyer parking lot.
Yeah, but no, like the little bike patrol people. He's like trying to pull you over all the way back there, and you wouldn't stop.
You're on a bike.
He was on a bike, and we're on the car, like driving down the road. Like, actually, it was where we stayed at that hotel. It was on that road, and then you go up.
Oh,
There was
really?
like a parking lot right there, and we were on the ISU campus, and I guess he saw us on his bike, and he's like turned on his little light, tried to pull us over, and like whatever, just kept driving. So we get out and we're hanging out, shooting the shit, and then he comes up. He's like, "I tried to pull you over all the way, like half a mile ago there." He's like, "Show me your IDs." We're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "You need to show me your IDs." Blah. And he's like, "You're not the real police." And so then he called the real police. And he's like, "Yeah, you can't." He's like, "I didn't see what happened, but you can't do that." We're like, "Okay."
Was that the ISU?
Yeah, it was the little bike patrol. Was like, "You need to give me your IDs," and we're like, "You're not the real police."
You
I
were.
told you I was bad.
You were.
Yeah, we were really bad.
You were sassy.
Well, did you hear the story about our across the street neighbor at the Washington house?
Which
The Mormon
one's
one?
Kurt?
So Dane was hitting golf balls, and some of them were like hitting his roof or whatever.
Oh yeah, Kurt.
Was that who it was?
Allison.
Yeah.
That's
So
what her name. What was the
so, like-
names? Do you remember? They were my friends.
oh, did he?
Yeah,
Well-
yeah, he did.
You gotta know, like,
Well, I would after I got caught with porno on my work computer.
Dang.
Anyway.
No, but
That'll happen.
Dane was hitting golf balls, and his wife's like, "Hey, can you stop that?" And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." And so we're like hanging out. And he comes over and like comes up and starts getting in me, Dane, and Kimberly's face, and was like, "Why are you hitting golf balls at my house?" And so he's like, "You know what happens when golf balls hit windows?" And Dane, he's like, "I don't know. What do you think happens when golf balls hit windows?" And so that pissed him off. So, what was it? I think Kimberly said, "He's like, hey, we're just trying to eat. Leave us alone." And he's like, "You need to shut your mouth." And so I lost my mind. I was like, "Who the fuck and I like went off on him, and I was like, yeah, they like took me inside, and then I think the police got called. But I was like ready to slap that guy in the face with a bat. Like I went to a party and this kid hit me in the face, and then I went to my car and got like my little weight billy club to go, and like everybody left. They were like, "This kid's gonna go crazy." That was like the stuff. That was the stuff. Like, yeah, I think it was like Sean and Steve. They're like, "Dude, he said he's so sorry. He doesn't want any problems or anything like that."
Too late.
He's
And I was like, okay, because he was like talking all night. He was like, he's like, yeah, I'm a boxer. He's like, I can hit somebody and I'll put him down with one punch. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then he thought I was talking to his girlfriend or something, and he like punched me in the face, and I was like, that's it. And then I just like walked off to my car, and everybody was like, dude, this kid's gonna go crazy. And like, I guess everybody left. And I came back like 2 minutes later, and they were like, everybody left. He's like apologizing. I was like,
Just cleared the place.
So the party's over?
yeah, pretty much. I like cleared the party out. But
They're like, this guy's going to get the artillery.
yeah, no, but we were like, yeah, we were bad. We weren't like super bad, but we were like right there at the like
Well,
the
yeah,
level of like
Line.
we were like on the fine line of going to jail, but not quite going
Then
to
you
jail.
became a cop.
Dude, I would have never like they tricked me into that one. My recruiter's like, I couldn't go combat engineer, I couldn't go infantry, and they're like, why? And it's like, well, how about being a cop? I was like, why? I don't like cops. I was like, I hate cops. And he's like, no, listen. He's like, MPs. Have you ever heard of a Mark 19? I'm like, no, what's that? And he's like, watch this. And it's an automatic grenade launcher. Shows me the video. I'm like, this is awesome. And then it's like, and sometimes work the road, or sometimes work garrison. And
Sometimes you're on the gate.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Check
Yeah.
ID cards. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know.
Every
It's good.
now
It's
and then
good.
when you're back in the States.
No, it is good that I went to the military because it gave me purpose and focus. Like I did good after that. Like
Yeah. And you left.
I was like,
Hello.
oh yeah, like if I would have went to school, I probably would have dropped out first year and then been, I don't know.
Hang out with Daun.
Being a blue collar,
Piddle and pot.
Work-
I'd have been no collar.
working the Pocatello string for a minute.
Yeah, so that was good that I left.
All right.
And I really sort of cut everybody off after that too.
It's always good to get away from Pocatello every now and then.
Is that good?
It's
It's only 6 hours.
we got 2.5 hours in.
You have to wait till 40 more years and get the rest of the stories.
Do you have any fond memories of your dad?
I probably do, but I don't remember a lot of stuff. Like seeing the pictures, I'm like I don't remember any of that, and then I see the picture, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do remember that. Like
That's how I am.
Like I remember when we went to like California, and I think we went to San Francisco and like getting one of those Red Bulls and stuff, like a clam chowder Red Bull. I was like, I remember that. That was really good. And like, I don't know, but not like, oh my gosh, this was
Best memory.
yeah, the best memory. Like I remember him getting pulled over, taking me to like a swim meet, going like 85 by the cops off a exit in Blackfoot. I remember that. He's like, ah.
And he deserved that too.
Yeah, but you know, I drive 85 too, so I can't wait. But he's trying to get his kid to the thing. He's like trying to get him to the thing. It's like, but I think
We had a lot of fun at the summer swim meets,
yeah,
the summer ones, because
yeah, because we would be traveling all over.
It was
Because we go to like
it was like when
20
you
falls.
were in dance and everything, we'd be going around to random schools.
not
But Dad
outside.
didn't go to
Yeah,
those.
your dad didn't.
No, but I'm just saying it was like that.
I was gonna say, like, he paid for us to do like pretty much any sport we wanted to. Hey, you want to do a sport? You want to dance? You want to do whatever? You want to go to the swim camp? Like,
He didn't buy us 4-wheelers and all the fun of like those things, but he made sure that our athletic abilities were.
we were set with that.
well, that was the thing too. I think when I first started he was a coach when I first did football. I want to say he did some stuff with t-ball when I did that when I was younger, and then he helped out with wrestling.
He did
Yeah.
t-ball and
For you?
baseball. did soccer for a few years, and one
Did
of his
Scouts with you.
Yeah, I remember the scouts and we were, I think, Blackfoot, and then we went to Pocatello.
He never taught me dance.
One of his
Taught you to swim.
he threw me in at 6 months old, so I taught myself.
That's how babies work.
That's how
Right.
how
They
babies
just
work.
bob and float for a minute.
It's like tell you how to survive.
Right? Yeah.
He taught you
I
all
told
how
him
to
to flip over to
organize.
his back. He just doesn't
Yeah.
listen.
He
Right?
taught us how to
Two
organize.
different
He taught us
techniques,
Tetris.
sinking and swimming.
Right.
He did. teach
Um,
Tetris?
He taught us like the boxes and.
Oh, packing? Yeah, I was like, he packed the shit out of a car. I was like, at like Kimberly's parents, so the get Kyle over here, he'll pack the car, or hey, he'll pack the shed or whatever. So that's always something.
That's I think that's a trait for all of us.
Flows in the blood system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like,
I wonder what would be the funniest story your dad would tell about you guys.
I
Hmm.
don't know.
What would you think? Yeah,
Story.
right.
Everybody loves that story.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you snore that loud still?
Probably.
I don't hear you.
Well,
But I could yell at your face and you wouldn't hear me.
What's cracked me up about Kyle over the last,
Wow.
4 days. Like we'll be talking to him, watching a show. We're just like, "Hey
That's
man,
right
how
out.
you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing great." And then like 2 seconds later, unconscious.
He's like breathing heavier and I'm
Down.
like,
so you would think that he pulls that trait from Lee Perry, because that's how
that's what Grandpa was doing today.
Grandpa Perry can pull that one off.
I know, Grandma's like, don't be going to sleep.
I'm not.
Why?
She's been saying that for 30 years.
Why do you bother? Just let him sleep there.
What is that?
He wasn't, yeah.
It's amazing how he was probably sleeping in that shop for 30 years too.
He really was.
It's amazing that he was
She's
actually
like-
getting paid.
Yep, I'm coming in for dinner and back out
He's
to the
like,
shop.
"I'm out
Got a
here
lot of
for
work.
lunch." He's like, oh, got my lunch bell. Got my dinner
Right,
bell.
the haircut.
Yeah, the intercom.
If he doesn't answer,
She's like, "I'm not even-"
he's on a parks run, but really he's sleeping in the bathroom.
He's sleeping in the back of the truck.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
He's on his roller. He's on his creeper.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
There you go. So
Underneath the vehicle, making it look like he's working.
That's I'm gonna tell Annie that. That's funny.
funny stories. That what would you think that he would say about each one of us? I guess then, Mom, because you kind of know what.
Like, what would be the funniest thing?
Yeah, what would be.
I don't know anything funny.
But with each of you, what you think would be funny with you guys? That is hard because it's like it was more about the athletic stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
That's not really funny.
I that's what I'm trying to think of something that is hard when
Yeah,
Think
when you
about
think
it.
about it.
I mean I can think of funny things
That he
for
did.
me and him. Like we were dating and we drove, it was in Blackfoot and we drove by I don't know, like a big outside the hospital, big grassy area, and they had irrigated it. And so he pulls over and he's like, let's just run through the water out here. And I'm like, okay. And we take our shoes off and we're running through the water. And there was a fish in there.
No.
And it's like attacking my butt. And I'm just like, oh.
That's funny.
You went out noodling, huh?
It's like, oh my gosh.
It's really a trial.
That's funny.
You went out noodling with your toes.
And then when we were on our honeymoon, we went to California and we were at a hotel that had an outdoor pool. And you know, I'm not too much into water, but I was in the water and there were these little crab apples that had fallen all in the pool and he started tossing them at me and hit me right in the breast, just
Aw.
on accident. And I'm just like, oh, and
Happy honeymoon.
I'm like, this is not cool.
This isn't how I imagined this.
Funny.
This is
Funny things.
marriage.
And at Christmas, and this, it's funny, but it's not real funny. So he used to buy a lot of gifts for everybody. And then we'd have your grandparents come over and see what you got for Christmas and exchange gifts and what have you. And so they would say, oh, well, what did you guys, get for Christmas? And he would go through and show them every single thing that he got me for Christmas. He'd be like, I got her these little undies,
Oh,
and I got her these, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Go try them on.
Model.
Yeah, Ralphie, go put that on.
That's a
That's
good
funny.
note to end it on.
Yeah, we're 55 minutes on segment number 3. So, all right.
Did you end it already?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
It's been trying to think of a good way to finish it out.
Watch Squid Games.
Oh yeah, so shows that everyone's been watching right now. 'Cause I like to talk about like
We
what
only have like
Oh, what's happening?
what people are reading, watching on television, or like what music they're listening to. Because it talks about
Season
It's a-
5 of Riverdale. Watch it.
season 5.
just the 5
Riverdale.
fifth season.
That's what just
Skip
recently
it.
came. That's
Okay.
recently what just came out, but that's the newest one.
Brandon says Riverdale.
Watch
I'm saying
Riverdale.
Squid Games.
Like,
Yeah.
I've never watched Riverdale.
Kyle introduced us to Squid Game. Well,
Yeah, it was like
Society-
I introduced you to Squid Games. So I told you to watch it. You told me to watch Yellowstone, so
yeah.
got into that too.
Riverdale will take you back into the Jughead, and Archie comic era.
Oh really?
So, but it's
It's like a little more dark, isn't it?
yeah,
That's what my buddy was telling me.
more this era, but
Okay.
well worth it.
Flashback.
I really liked the Archie comics.
Well worth it. Betty and Veronica, I got them all, so it's well worth it.
Were those your cows? Maybe?
Yes. I named
Okay.
named my heifers Betty and Veronica after the comics.
I was gonna say based off the comics.
Yep, those
So-
are my show heifers back in 4-H.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What do you listen to for music? I don't listen to anything now, really.
Tucker Carlson.
Carlson, watch
Tucker
watch
Carlson.
the Tucker
It's like
Carlson
we could have
show.
went and saw Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie
Warner Brothers.
Kirk's here tonight. Listen to Claude Dallas by either Tom Russell or Ian Tyson. And then, so I still need to do this, but you gotta read to If You Give a Boy a Gun. I think that was the title of it, right?
Mhm.
Well, it's a story of Claude Dallas who shot 2 fish and game officers here in Idaho and became something of a folk hero out in Hawaii. And then,
Hawaii County.
yep, other books.
Resisting
We have to know our
Happiness. Matthew Kelly.
Resisting Happiness by Matthew Kelly. Is it General Kelly? Is it the same guy?
No,
Okay.
that's a religious Kelly.
A religious Kelly.
Some of us have probably already read it, but for Nicole's fact, what to expect when expecting.
Yeah.
I met that woman, Heidi Moncrief or something like that. Heidi Moncrief, I don't know. I met her. Anyway.
I'll tell you stuff not to do. Don't go to Watson's.
Yes!
And watch
Special segment.
and watch what is it?
Oh.
Sweeney Todd, the
Oh.
Demon Barber of Beach Street.
That was the
Save yourself the time and the
And
money.
just buy the
I'll tell you
DVD.
what not
I'm gonna
to
make a
do.
long story short, but we went to a murder mystery cafe. They were doing Sweeney Todd. The food sucked, came out way too late. Our drinks came out way after we ordered them as well. The acting was worse than all of that. Everybody up there was scared to be on stage. They were way too quiet, weren't projecting, weren't facing the audience. Amateur acting. It was terrible. It was like something that they do in a sitcom to make fun of bad acting.
How much time?
And 30 seconds more. We got to the intermission. I went, paid for what Nicole and I ordered. Texted Nicole, hey, I paid for our stuff. She pulled Kyle out of the line as he was getting ready to pay for the meal and said, Kyle paid for everything.
Yep.
We left. I just paid for me and Nicole's portion,
And we
which
said-
is like $18. We're like, oh, well.
Yeah, the car is like, I'm not going back in.
And we left during the intermission, didn't finish the show. This was a good podcast. Bye.
You got like a 3-hour time limit?
I got over the second left. Each segment has to be less than 60 minutes.
Or what? It then cuts in there.
Starts in noon.
You lose it.
Oh,
Mhm.
shit.
Straight up, yeah.
Dang.
Good job.
I had a good. I had one really good podcast that I had a blast doing, and then
We didn't know about that.
I didn't know that you could only have the
Dang.
segment so
And then it
long.
just
I
lost
just
that
lost
whole
it, yeah.
hour.
Lost it entirely.
Dang.
Tried to do another podcast with that same guy, but it's
Who
just
was
different because we weren't covering the same
Was
stuff.
it Preston?
Brock,
Oh, bro.
yeah.
All right, 1:30.
Well,
Yeah.
this was my first
this is still running.
You're gonna be famous now.
interrogation
Oh, yeah.
that
Bye.
I've done without